right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of the Hell Nah Hangout. There's actually only 3 of us today. So one thing I noticed before we get started, you can now find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube and Twitch. I usually take the Twitch VOD down after I post it to YouTube. So be on the lookout for the YouTube video. Be on the lookout on Apple Podcasts if you just want to listen on the way to work or something. Yeah, Apple Podcasts, big move. I'm gonna try to get us on Spotify too, Podbean, SoundCloud, stuff like that in the future as well. But there's only 3 of us today. The other 3 people are idiots and are bad with scheduling. But since we're we have our usual audience on Twitch and on YouTube, people in the CCL and whatnot. But we need to, I guess, start addressing the people like outsiders that are gonna like listen in for the first time and have never really met us. So I wanted to start this episode by having you two introduce yourselves and like what you do, who you are, and whatnot. So JPRO, you go first.
All right, so my name's John, or JPRO, technically pronounced JPROSP, but nobody does that anyway, so just call me John essentially. I am the COO of the College Call of Duty League. I also work for CMG Esports as their stream producer, and yeah, that's what I do.
And I'm Chris Shackelford, most known by Shack, or that crazy little redneck. So I am a Call of Duty player for Mississippi State University and a streamer for Raging Esports.
Okay, and then last but certainly not least, I am Sergio Brack. For those that don't know me, my game and alias is Physix. I am a streamer for Nemesis Esports, and I'm also the head of competitive operations and the Call of Duty captain for Ole Miss Esports, which is what I actively represent and what I actively participate in the most, probably. So I do attend Ole Miss. I'm a sociology major going into my 4th year of school. All of us are in college, by the way. I don't know. I didn't hear if they mentioned it or not, but we all met through college. We all met through what we call the College Call of Duty League, as JPRO mentioned earlier. And we pretty much made some of our best friends that we talk to every day through that league, even though we all live in different parts of the country. So that's how we met each other. And that's you'll get to meet the other people that participate in the podcast later on. Like I said, a lot of them couldn't make it today, so it's just us 3. But we have a pretty big group, and I'm excited for you to get to know us and go along with us on this journey. So today's episode, we have a really special topic. So every year, XXL, which is a hip hop publication, puts out a list to commemorate the up and coming rappers of the year and who they think is gonna blow up and make a lot of noise in the coming year. So the 2019 list just dropped a couple days ago, I believe, like beginning of this week. And so on the list we have Blueface, Comethazine, Tierra Whack, Roddy Ricch, The Baby, Lil Mosey, YB Corday, Rico Nasty, YK Osiris, Gunna, and Megan Thee Stallion. So majority of the people that were going to be on the podcast, including Shack and JPRO, really didn't know who these artists were. So I sort of made them a playlist to listen to, and so we could sort of talk about it and see who we think got snuffed out of the list, who are their favorite artists, favorite songs. So I'll start with you, Shack. Give me your top 3 that you've heard on the list so far.
Top 3 songs?
No, top 3 artists, like the artists that you like.
Well, definitely Lil Mosey. I'm not I've never listened to a lot of hip hop music or rap music much before, but Lil Mosey is a person I've actually got a couple of songs on my playlist by him. So definitely Lil Mosey. Behind Lil Mosey, I would probably say as far as individual songs, YBN Corday, Have Mercy. That was a great song for me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Pain Away was okay. But Have Mercy was really good. And then definitely even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the rest of his songs, Roddy Ricch, when he partnered up with Marshmello to do Project Dreams, Project Dreams was a great song. So
who's your least favorite artist on the list?
Oh, my least favorite?
Yeah.
Rico Nasty.
Why?
No,
what's wrong? What's wrong with Rico Nasty?
Huh? I don't know. It just didn't vibe with me.
That's understandable. She's an acquired taste. Like I told you earlier, like she's just like
Yeah.
Rico is just so different from other female rappers. I feel like the way she raps is so aggressive, and like almost like just loud, but like I like it. What about you, J Pro? Give me your top 3 artists?
So I had already heard of the Baby and Gunna before,
Yeah.
like before you in this playlist, but so I'm like not gonna include them in my 3.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had heard of YBN Cordae before, but I had never like really listened to him, and I really liked YBN Cordae.
Mm-hmm.
Both of the songs that are on the playlist are actually really good. I went and listened to some more; they were good. YK Osiris also really good. Really enjoyed those songs. And then this might be weird, but like Tierra Whack was actually not that bad. I actually
No,
really enjoyed.
she's really good. She's really
Yeah.
unique. Like she's another one. Like just I think all. So this is the first year that there's been multiple female artists on the list. They usually only pick one every year, and I guess that's because of the lack of saturation with the female like demographic in rap. But now this year, we've seen like multiple female rappers like really make a name for themselves. So I think if there was going to be any year that they actually implemented more than one woman, it was definitely this year. And I think like all 3 represent different facets of rap with them females. Like you got Megan Thee Stallion, who's obviously like the provocative, like talks about sex and stuff, which is fine. And you have Tierra Whack, who's like the unique, like really lyrical rapper. And you have Rico Nasty, who's just like aggressive and like it just hits you when she raps.
I really liked what Tierra Whack did with her intros. I feel like she had the best intros of anybody on the like playlist.
Yeah, for me, I think my top 3 on the list. So I've obviously have already heard of most of these people beforehand. I think YBN Cordae is probably one of my favorites. Like as soon as I heard his first song, like a year ago, I think I knew he was gonna be like really big, and I know he was gonna be the future. And he has a co-sign from Dr. Dre. And I think Dr. Dre actually is executive producing his debut album, which is supposed to come out next month, actually. So I'm gonna be on the lookout for that for sure. Roddy Ricch is one of my favorites as far as like hype rappers and people I just listen to on drives. Roddy Ricch is at the top of the list. And then one that none of y'all said, but I love him. I'm gonna say him just because I know y'all probably hating him. Comethazine, bro. I love Comethazine, bro. I love Comethazine, bro. I don't care what nobody says. Comethazine was hard.
Out of the Comethazine songs you had on this playlist, like 1 out of the 3 was like okay. Like Let It Eat, I actually enjoyed a little bit, but Walking Nonsense, I
don't know how you didn't like Walk, bro. Walk is hard. Bro, Walk is so hard. I don't know.
I didn't like any of those, man.
I knew you wouldn't like it, buddy.
Shack's uncultured.
So here's my take on music. Like I pay attention to lyrics, but if you've got a good like actual musical like behind it, then it's gonna hit me a lot more than just lyrics. You get what I'm saying?
That's understandable.
Because I was like a big music person, so that's fine.
So like with artists like Comethazine, it's like okay, like I feel like every niche of rap has its own place. Like I'm not gonna listen to Kendrick Lamar when I'm driving in the car like with my buddies on the way to a party. I'm not gonna listen to J. Cole in that same scenario either. But like if I plug in the aux and put on Comethazine on the way to a party, we running the whole party. So it's like I don't know. I just don't. I feel like every rapper has its own place. That's why I don't like turn rappers down like Blueface or Comethazine or Roddy Ricch. I also really like the Baby. I love Lil Mosey. I don't know if Lil Mosey has longevity. To be honest.
Lil Mosey's amazing.
See, for like Lil Mosey, shout out to Toonie2K for putting me on. But I actually really like Lil Mosey. I think like if he keeps doing his thing, he'll be fine. Like honestly, there are some rappers that have to innovate to survive, but I think with Mosey, I don't think that's necessarily true.
I think he's already.
I really enjoy it.
I don't know. Y'all know me. I don't know a lot of modern songs, but the couple of like rap, like hip hop songs that I do listen, that's kind of more modern. I feel like he's the closest to it.
Yeah. What? So are there any rappers that y'all think got snuffed off the list? I know they said it came out the other day. Juice WRLD was supposed to be on the list, but he actually turned it down this year. Yeah, he turned it down. A lot of rappers do, just because like the previous covers are like around like 2014, 2015 were like really lyrical, like it was straight lyrical rappers. And so the cypher's really good, freestyles are really good, but in the recent years they more so changed it to not like the most lyrical rappers, but they turned to who's gonna blow up and who's made the most noise. So like as you can probably think, the freestyles and the ciphers aren't as like lyrical. So a lot of people turn it down because they think it's a joke now.
Yeah, there's been some like good ciphers that have come out of the past couple years, like that one with was like Lil Uzi Vert, 21 Savage.
A lot of that is the most controversial one because a lot of people don't like it, but it's literally the most viewed.
Cipher.
It's the most viewed cipher of any XXL cipher ever. So it's weird.
And one thing I think a lot of the criticism for that probably comes from people hating on, you know, mumble rap and like what they I think a lot of the problem with that is like there's so many different like subgenres of rap that just like hating on one category like isn't necessarily, you know, it's not bad to like dislike something, but just hating like this one sect because of something isn't necessarily good because there's so many other areas that you can, you know, look for rap, like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, like totally different styles of rap, but like you can appreciate them for what they do.
Yeah, and maybe it's because I listen to rap like consistently, but it's so weird like hearing people say like all rappers sound the same, and I'm just like, you know, I listen to my playlist. I'm like, bro, none of these people like maybe you're like your Gunnas and Lil Babies and stuff like that, but like for the most part, I can even differentiate like all of those people. So it's like I don't know.
I will say. So y'all heard the way that I listen to it. Like musically, there is a lot of like similarities between certain artists, but like I feel like the ones that really like set themselves apart musically are some of them that stand out more.
But you say you like Lil Mosey the most, and I feel like at all. And okay, you said you like Lil Mosey.
He's probably the most bland out of some of them.
And Roddy Ricch, Roddy Ricch is sort of in his own lane. I feel like I don't know, but people that got snuffed, me and JPRO were talking about it earlier. I think Polo G 100% got snuffed. I don't know why. So if you had to take one person off of this list, JPRO, and put Polo G in his place, who would you put?
Blueface.
Wow. No, wait. No, you. I'm about to say, bro.
I might be kind of serious. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of Tatiana, like, which is like what.
Right. You cannot be a fan of it, but like I told you, the list is like people that like blew up this year, and that song was like hot. Like this song was popping.
I know it was. It just wasn't. It wasn't like for me, right?
Yeah. To be honest, I would have probably took off Megan Thee Stallion.
What?
I'm just saying.
You are bugging, bro.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know who I would have taken off because it's so hard. Because all these people on this list deserve it, right? They've all shown that they contribute something to the game, regardless of, you know, if it's like my style or not. So I don't think I can answer that question fairly because like I can't take something away from somebody just because like my personal opinion.
Yeah,
everybody's here because they did something. They did something good, or they wouldn't have made the list.
I agree, but I think out of all the people, I honestly think Polo G has done more than. There's one person on this list that I honestly just don't think, like flat out, I don't think they should have been on the list at all. And it's not that he doesn't make good music, but I just think that he hasn't done enough compared to Polo G, the artist we were talking about earlier. YK Osiris literally has like 2 songs, and Worth It blew up, and the other one didn't even really blow up. It's just like there. Whereas,
I think he's gonna turn into one of those one-hit wonders, to be honest.
I think so too, because he's riding the coattails of Worth It. If you watch his interviews, when people ask him to freestyle, he literally sings Worth It. I cannot make this up. He'll sing Worth It and won't even like freestyle. So it's like I don't see him like having longevity. I don't like compared to Polo G, who Polo G literally has the song of the summer. I don't care who you are, you love the song "Pop Out" with him and Lil TJ, and then
that's right.
Like you put that into account, and the fact that Polo G just dropped a really good debut album. YK Osiris doesn't even have a project out yet, I don't think. So it's like I don't see how maybe Polo G like blew up later, like too late in the year or something. And then with of course, if we mentioned Polo G, we had to mention Lil TJ too. Same thing. Lil TJ has a lot of hit songs, more than YK Osiris, that's for sure. So I don't know how those two got snuffed, but I would definitely put them in and take YK Osiris off of it if I had to. Yeah. But yeah, it was a pretty good list. I'm curious. We'll probably touch back on this again once the freestyles and the ciphers start coming out. I'm excited, bro. I'm so excited to see Blueface's freestyle because they do individual freestyles first. And then they transition into group ciphers on a beat, and so I'm really curious to see.
Same. I am also very excited.
This is going to show a little bit of my unculturedness, but what are you calling a cipher? Is that like?
So a cipher is essentially where like a group of them get together, and like there's somebody playing a beat in the background. They take turns like rapping on the beat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Alright.
yeah, those are that's like the highlight of the list, to be honest. That's the best part.
I know what that is. I just didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna transition now into the
Ooh.
future of esports.
Can I say one last thing on the XXL Freshman?
What's up?
So one thing that I've noticed a lot, and maybe this is just like a trend with most music in general, but like back like my middle school, high school days, rap songs, were like 3 minutes to like anywhere like 9 minutes sometimes.
Dude,
but nowadays it's like they're like I there was a song on this list, like I think it was minute 14, Nonsense by Comethazine.
Yes, that song is super short, bro. This is rough.
Yeah, I know why that is, because of like the streaming age. You get more streams if it's shorter. But I just thought that was like a really interesting, because a lot of these artists have like really short music.
And I also feel like if they don't have anything of substance to say, I don't want to hear you go on Missy with that nonsense, you bro. Like, I don't want to hear that for 3 minutes straight. Like, I'm good. Like, give me a minute of it, hit it hard, and like we're good.
Yeah,
like I'm done.
I agree 100%. Like a lot of songs, like it'll have like a really nice hook, but there's a couple verses that just aren't up to par, and it kind of destroys the entire song. Whereas with the way the current music stage is going, just shorten it up, make it nice and sweet, and call it a day.
Wait, so who did y'all think was the best female on the list out of the three?
Tierra Whack, 1000%.
You know what? I think in terms of substance, but I think it's like the whole package deal. Like who I think ready for stardom, Megan Thee Stallion, 500%. Like the confidence in which she raps, and then like if you've ever seen her interview and stuff, the way she carries herself, like in her still going to school, she's done like a lot of volunteer stuff. Like she did like a beach cleanup with her fans and stuff a couple weeks ago. Like I think she's definitely ready for superstar. I think Tierra Whack's gonna get there, but I don't think she has like the accolades and the hits that Megan Thee Stallion has. I'm more than happy Tierra Whack made it, because I didn't think she was going to, just because she doesn't have that hit song, and a lot of people don't know who she is still. But I
wasn't a big fan of like really any of them, to be honest.
Really? Yeah. I can't say I didn't see that coming, to be honest. I can't say I didn't see that coming, bro. All right, but yeah, we're gonna go to transition into the.
Hey, what about Dolph though? That's what I was saying. Like,
I don't think Dolph has already made it. I don't think he has.
No.
I don't think Dolph would even do it, to be honest. Dolph is like the type that doesn't. So a lot. For y'all that don't know who Young Dolph is, he's like a local Memphis rapper. He's really big in like the Mississippi, Tennessee area. But other than that, not a lot of people really know him like that, I feel like. But I feel
like he tells some really good, like, he's one person that, like, once it was pointed out to me, I went through and like listened to a bunch of his songs and actually paid attention to lyrics.
Yeah.
Because like everything he does, it's like it's a fucking story coming out.
Yeah, he like Dolph has a lot of like swagger about how he raps. Like everything Young Dolph says, like you believe when he says it. He talks about like drug dealing and stuff like that, but like I said, the charisma in which he says it, like you actually believe everybody says. So I feel like Dolph is really good, but I think if he did make it, he wouldn't even accept it. And I also think Dolph has that barrier, like with most Memphis rappers, where that accent and that sound, like it doesn't transition to the masses. Like people don't want to hear a southern accent on a rap beat. It's just how it is. So I don't think, even if he did make it, I don't think he would ever accept it, to be honest, because Dolph just seems like that kind of dude that would turn it down. But I do like his music though, 100%.
Dolph has got some great music, and that's coming from somebody that don't even listen to rap music like religiously.
All right, now we're gonna transition into the future of esports. I was sitting back at my desk today, and I was thinking stuff to talk about, and then I was like thinking about franchising coming up, and I watched the Humber podcast. Shout out to the Humber boys, and I was sort of listening to them talk about like the CCL, the future of that, and I was thinking about like what is the future of esports in general? Like, what do y'all want to see like happen in your future? I have two things, but I'll let y'all go first.
So for the future of esports, there are two things that I think need to happen for its success. One of them is, I think, mainstream, I don't want to use the word acceptance, but at least mainstream recognition, right? I think we're getting close, right? We have the Overwatch League being broadcasted on Disney XD and some other channels, right? Like the other day I was looking, and there was just a random TV channel that I'd never seen before that was showing like Counter-Strike. And I think like one of the things esports might need is like just some like mainstream just acknowledgement, essentially. Like I think we're getting there, and I think it's getting really close. Like for example, we saw like Chad Ochocinco at CW Anaheim.
I'd like to say something on that too.
Yeah, yeah. So essentially that, because once we get there, I think a lot of people are worried about the space. Like every other week, I'm getting linked an article about how like esports is a bubble and it's going to burst at some point, and then the whole industry is just going to come crashing down. I don't necessarily think it's a bubble. I don't think it's a bubble, to be honest, but essentially in order for esports like continued longevity, it's going to require like people to not be afraid to invest in the space, right? But like the flip side of that coin is we get bad investors who don't actually know the space, and we get like the I don't want to speak too much. I don't know everything, but like the Immortals optic situation. Yeah.
One thing I was like, you brought up Disney XD. So they've actually got I know the Overwatch League is one. I'm pretty sure League is like I don't know what it's called, but the major like professional league. What is it?
The LCS.
Yeah, LCS.
Well, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's also one for CS:GO now. It's also all got individual like minor contracts with like the ESPN organizations.
Like,
I didn't know that. Watch them on, like so I was actually flipping through like on the Apple TV and stuff, and you had ESPN3 carrying an Overwatch League match.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like there's ESPN starting to get some coverage of some of it.
Yeah. One thing like with like esports getting major contracts is I know with the X Games that are going to be in Minneapolis, just a couple hours away from me, there's going to be a professional Apex Legends tournament there. So I think I'm going to end up driving down there to go see that. But like just seeing like mainstream sports and esports like come together, things like X Games gives me a lot of hope. Like I know in the past like Call of Duty was there and some other esports were there, but essentially like bringing back esports to the X Games and maybe a future partnership there I think will be important.
So that was something like when the X Games first brought in esports, they brought in Call of Duty. When Call of Duty dropped out, if I'm not mistaken, they picked up Rocket League for like the 3 years until now that it was changed.
Could be. I haven't watched it since then.
I'm pretty sure. I'm almost positive they picked up Rocket League and was having Rocket League pros with it like after COD.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
I haven't watched it since they dropped COD, to be honest with you.
Because that's something they've still like. That's a lot of publicity for it because they wouldn't show it like on TV, but they would give it like the hype on the main like the casters and stuff would give it hype in the X Games. Yeah. On TV.
So for me, I know like two things. The first thing like I really would love to see, and I think it would be so like I would literally be so satisfied with esports in general. Like this is like my biggest dream is for like the feeder system for professional esports to come from like collegiate esports. Just like in traditional sports, how you get your professional athletes from like college athletics. Like I think if I don't want the NCAA involved at all, so don't misquote me. We don't want the NCAA involved in esports at all. No regulation from them. No. However, I think if we could have somebody take initiative and make sure that like for example, if our top AMs in COD, if we start offering scholarships to them to play at these schools, play in the CCL eventually, and then our feeder system be from the CCL to get to the pros. That's like I think that would be great, and that's one of the things that I really want to see. And then the next thing I want to see, like I want to see it become like this big spectator like thing. Like we already see like league tournaments and stuff and CS:GO like sell out arenas and whatnot, but I want to see it on like a consistent basis to where like there's travel teams for professional like athletics, and I want to see like esports teams actually travel and like buy tickets to the this Overwatch game today and like have it like be a consistent like spectacle for people to go watch. I think that'd be really dope. And then also another thing I didn't even think about is like from a technological standpoint, it's like we're not going to be on a controller and mouse and keyboard forever. Eventually VR is going to take over. We're going to be playing VR esports. So that's going to be wild.
Well, a couple things on like the VR point. There actually is already VR esports. It was like at a CS:GO tournament or whatever, like a side tournament they had was VR. That was really cool. But like another thing with that is like VR spectating is going to become, you know, a big thing. And I think like they already do like VR spectating for like the NBA finals and the Super Bowl, right? Because you can sit like at, you know, the 50-yard line, or you can sit at half court, right, in VR. But one thing I think is really cool about that is like Counter-Strike at one of the tournaments, they set it up so you could like view in VR, but you'd have like different angles of the map, and you can like switch through or whatever, so you can see the action play out instead of just like the normal like Twitch stream, which was actually really sick.
That would be really interesting if they ever like put it in. The only thing is, I think I'm just going to use the CWL for example. For instance, if the CWL was ever going to make it to what you were talking about, you know, in my opinion, of consistently, you know, like, hey, buy tickets for this, I think they're going to have to like expand the season a lot more. Not even just for matches, but like you're not going to sell out. I don't think like say you got for like travel time, you're not going to be able to have 4 matches a week, you know, a match each day, and expect to sell out an arena every day like that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I agree, but like take the MLB for example. The baseball season is really strenuous, like with how many games they play, like in between days, and they still travel and sell out fields and stuff.
Yeah, but they don't sell, like if you actually go in and look, they don't really sell out that many fields in the MLB.
Yeah.
Like the MLB, like they start throwing like $1 and $2 midweek games, and then the weekends they'll start packing. Like they don't really sell like that much.
I mean, if esports has to do that, then by all means go ahead. And then also, like, every game, it just isn't gonna warrant like a whole stadium like for it. Like we can always use smaller venues to like serve as placeholders until that particular esport can afford to, you know, venture into selling out stadiums and stuff like that. So I definitely think there's a lot of different avenues you could go, but I think like for esports to grow in general, it has to become more of like a spectacle for people to watch. Like the common person needs to be able to turn on a TV or take their kids to a game and be able to understand it and like empathize with the players and stuff.
The next step I would take, like that I would like to see the CWL take with franchising, is I'm just using this for example because this is the one I'm the most knowledgeable of. You know, instead of having, we have what, 5 open tournaments a year right now, 6 on a good day.
Yeah.
Y'all remember back when you had your MLG events and your major UMG events, and you had like maybe 9 or 10 total events. Like I think it needs to go back to having more, and even if all teams can't go, well, the way I'm seeing it is for like to help grow. Like maybe you don't have everybody, but maybe you have like regionals tournaments between some of these franchises. Like you have like four of those teams meeting up at these certain places to play a little thing or something. You know.
So to talk on that point, so the one thing I think is that's really good about the CWL is that it's like a centralized location for professional Call of Duty, right? The problem with like the UMG and like the, you know, the other tournaments is like it kind of spread it out so much where there wasn't like a consistent place for where Call of Duty is. And I think like spreading ourselves too thin is like bad, isn't good for Call of Duty, considering no offense, but it's like not the most viewed esport as it is right now. And I think like spreading it even thinner wouldn't help it. Like I think like building the hype up for, you know, events like Anaheim, for like Miami, for champs, like that's important. But if like there's, you know, like 20 tournaments in a year, like, oh, this tournament, you know, even though, you know, this is COD champs, right? Like there'll still be hype around that one, but all these other ones, it's like, really, does it like really matter? And in terms of like the regional tournaments, I think with franchising, there's going to be a lot of like big changes when it comes to the way open events are structured, because you know, a franchise league, there isn't open events, and I've heard things, I've heard rumors about how franchise teams are going to handle like the tier 2, tier 3 scene, like the amateur scene in Call of Duty. And I think if what I've heard is true, I can't say too much because I don't know if it's true or not, but essentially, I think if it goes the way I've heard it's going to go, it might end up helping the scene a lot rather than the way it is now. Because right now there's 50, not 50, but there's like 10 or so different like local LAN providers. And I think local LANs are important, but like when it comes to, you know, the tier 2 scene, there needs to be something official and regulated by like the Call of Duty World League or by Activision, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I love what like the local LAN providers are doing. They're giving an outlet for, you know, amateur players who aren't, you know, like pro league players. But at the same time, in order for there to be, you know, like the pipeline, like you talked about, Sturge, from like a path to pro, there needs to be something regulated. And one of the things that I really like about like Counter-Strike is they have ESEA, right? Where you can just like play regular matches and you get your rank or whatever, but then they have ESEA Open, they have what is it, Premier, and then there's the Mountain Dew League, which is essentially like the tier 2 scene, and the top teams from the Mountain Dew League play against the teams at the bottom of the Pro League in a relegation. You know, the top teams from that tournament go in, and that's like one of the things that's really good about Counter-Strike is that there is that path to pro, whereas right now there kind of is, but it feels like there's a very big divide. Like, one of the things that I think is really weird about the way Call of Duty works is like it's not about skill a lot of the time, but it's kind
who
of
you
like
know.
it's who you know.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Which is one thing I hope franchising eliminates. That's less about who you know and more about how good your skill in the game is.
Right.
Okay. So as far as that tier 2 and tier 3, that's similar to how 2K worked with it now. You know, 2K is probably one of the relatively newer like main like big things. You know, what y'all think on that?
I think the 2K League started off high. I think it's losing traction very, very quick.
Yeah,
like,
I think the one thing that happened is I think teams expected, like the teams that bought into it right away, I think they expected, you know, an ROI like really fast. And if there's one thing esports has taught us is that the return on investment isn't like, it's not overnight. You're not just gonna wake up the next morning and be like, oh, I made $4 million because of this team, right?
Exactly.
Like Optic, right? Like Optic probably, you know, it wasn't just an overnight thing. Like their growth was pretty quick, but still, even then, you know, there's you have to put in work, right? You have to put in work to get there, and just, you know, throwing money at something and thinking it's going to be profitable the next day is kind of foolish. And I think that's kind of where the 2K League is.
I could be wrong, but like, what does 2K the game have anything where it advertises the 2K League in it?
Yes,
like,
you can actually watch it from the. You can actually watch some of them from the thing now.
Okay. What about so when I watched the NBA Finals, I could be wrong, but I swear I didn't see anything about the 2K League like at all.
So no, on the NBA Finals they did not necessarily show it. However, during the year they have had like, and then especially the teams, the NBA teams that have elite teams, they actually had like stuff brought in. I've saw stuff on YouTube where they was like giving them publicity like at the events and stuff as well. So like at the actual game, not as much on TV as much, and I think that's where it needs to kind of grow to. But I will say, like JPRO was talking about with the like the professional tiers of like the like CS:GO, you know, you were talking about like the Mountain Dew League being like a tier 2. That's kind of how they fed. Like, I feel like they didn't do a good job necessarily feeding off either, because if you go back and look, almost like, I want to say the last stat I saw was like 92% of the players in the E League came from like your MPBA, like your WR, which is like they're decent, but they're not like, I don't feel like that was a good talent suffering from that. Like, I feel like there's a lot more talented people to go to the E League from it. I'm just saying.
So I'm not like the most knowledgeable when it comes to the 2K League, but I think the biggest issue I see with it is like, I feel like 2K is such a casual game and so many people like talk trash on it. Like, it's a really competitive casual game. So I don't see like what's the barrier between the two things. Like, I think it's just a matter of people just don't know about it, because like if it wasn't for me being involved in esports, and I've seen literally nothing about like the 2K League at all in terms of advertisement.
Well, one of the things that I think is, maybe this is just me, right? But for the 2K League, it's kind of hard to watch at times because like there's good commentators, right? Like I follow one of them on Twitter, and he's very passionate about the 2K League. But when I go watch the 2K League, it's just really hard to watch okay, this is gonna sound bad. It's hard to watch a virtual sports game. Whereas like, you know, with Call of Duty and Counter-Strike, it's like its own game. There isn't like a real life supplement of that, you know, per se. It just feels weird to watch. And it feels weird to watch someone play virtual basketball. But at the same time, that also makes me sound kind of hypocritical, because I think it's fun to, you know, watch people play Overwatch or play Call of Duty. It just feels weird because a lot of the things that you can like see from, you know, professional basketball players, all the different things they do, doesn't necessarily translate over into 2K. And it feels weird for me to watch, and it feels weird for me to be attached. I watched what was it called, like the opening tournament they do, what, like the tip off tournament,
the tip off tournament.
Like I watched that, but it's just, it feels weird to me. It just feels weird in like how I watch it, even though I watch like so many other esports.
I feel like it doesn't.
if I remember right.
And also, like, I feel like the 2K League doesn't have anything going for it that's like unique to that esport. You know, like for instance, like a lot of people didn't start watching Gears of War until we started seeing the Twitter clips of people like literally yelling the most like profane things at each other like across the station. I know, like that was when I turned into Gears. I saw the trash talk and I was like, oh, like no other esports doing it like this, so I'm like I need to watch. And then so you also have like what do you Call of Duty. Same thing. Call of Duty like has a trash talk aspect that a lot of people really enjoy. And I just can't see like with the 2K League. I don't think there's anything that like keeps it.
So there is a trash talk aspect to the 2K League. You just have to know the scene to be able to know it. It's not as like big as like Call of Duty even, and that's saying something. But like if you actually followed these people on YouTube and you got people that very well could be in the league right now that turned it down to start with because of their content. They actually do go out each other.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen them get I've seen them get hype before, you know, during matches after. Like I can relate to that part, but it's just such an out there concept even for esports that like wasn't necessarily, you know, tried and tested before they did it. And I think they've made a lot of strides to make it a lot better, but I also think like 2K and other sports games as esports have a ways to go. Although there is one sports esport that I will say is like really fun to watch, and that is going to be Madden. Madden is so fun to watch because it's just one person controlling it. It's just it's the best sports esport in my opinion.
I haven't ever really watched it, but I have heard people say that it's actually really fun to watch. And actually Madden was the first like sports esport to make its way into collegiate. They joined CSL before 2K did. Yeah. So I definitely think Madden's making strides.
CSL does have leagues for both of them this year though.
Ooh. I just think for sports esports in general, at least from a collegiate aspect, or not even just collegiate aspect, I think it's always just going to be a barrier. I don't think they're going to make waves as much as the other esports. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Ooh, should we talk about Polly's question in the chat? Or his statement per se. Paulie said, "I still don't see why people think Fortnite isn't competitive."
So my only issue, one thing. Okay, so to go, I guess to be devil's advocate and go with Polly, I don't see why people think like the building aspect isn't competitive. Like it's literally like a skill gap in the game. It's not like something you could just pick up and like do. Like you have to teach yourself how to build, how to edit, like the right time to edit something, like stuff like that. Like it definitely takes skill. I just think with battle royales, it's literally the RNG. That's all it is. Correct. Like the RNG is what makes it not competitive.
That's how I feel. What's RNG?
Yeah, what's it stand for?
So RNG stands for like random number generator. But like when we use the term RNG, it's that like it's
like random. Your loot.
So when you like, in my opinion, the only BR that's like kind of close to competitive, and that's PUBG, simply because they've done a lot of balancing to make it, you know, potentially not as RNG dependent. Yeah. It's still definitely RNG dependent, and that's why, in my opinion, most BR esports aren't competitive. Because if I land somewhere, right, and somebody lands next to me, if I get a pistol and he gets like an SMG or an AR, like I am losing that gunfight 9 out of 10 times. Like maybe there's one time where I sneak up behind him and I somehow win the fight, right? But it's just really tough. And you know, somebody will be like, oh, you can disengage, you can run away. And I'm like, yeah, you can. But the fact that, you know, situations arise where a really good team, like I think it was in the National PUBG League.
The World Cup? Like about it?
The National
hasn't started yet? No, he's talking about Fortnite.
No, the Fortnite World Cup. The Fortnite World Cup's about over.
The qualifiers are already over. Up next is the World Cup in New York. Yeah. But to finish what I was saying is like, it's just so RNG dependent for all these situations. Because there was a time during the National PUBG League, there was like one of the best teams in the league. They had really bad loot on spawn, and they died really early, and they ended up getting, I think, second or something or third, simply because they had one really bad game because they got really bad loot. And for me, that's just not really acceptable as an esport. Like one thing I think I really pride esports in is that we don't have people complaining about the game, right? In basketball, you have people complaining about a flop or whether they got fouled or, you know, anything along those lines. But in esports, we have a really solid framework for, you know, the game to function. and the developers can make it so it functions in a certain way, albeit the FaZe LG series where FaZe should have won that control, but that's a minor blemish. But we don't have people arguing about, this happened in game or this happened in game. Like, we can complain about mechanics, but we can't complain about like how we win or how we lose the game because it's a set environment where things always happen the same way.
Yeah,
that's something that's hurt 2K, especially last year, by the way.
I think like the biggest thing for me in terms of like battle royale is like, I know to me the ones that have come the closest to like actually like I could see them having a competitive scene or Blackout and then Apex. I think Apex like really set itself up to be like a really good like spectator esport. But I think the biggest thing for me, and I don't know why developers do this, they release their BR games without custom games. It's like people were so hyped for competitive Apex. There was literally a whole collegiate Apex Discord. They had an intro tournament and everything, but it's like you can't go anywhere without custom games, and I don't know why these developers don't see that, and I don't know why they don't like it. It just, I feel like it hurts the momentum of it in general, to be honest.
So for like the Apex thing, like I know so I'm in that Discord, like I'm technically on staff for that Discord. And like custom games like are coming, or they were coming when I talked to them back when the game like had first released. But the problem with it is like, if the game has hype behind it, you have to make sure you're able to sustain that hype. Custom games, getting more content out, making sure the game's fun and enjoyable. But Respawn and Apex just kind of just fell off because not a lot of things came out of it. I know at E3 a couple weeks ago they announced like season 2 with new content coming, but at that point there's no hype behind it. Like, I haven't touched Apex since like the second month it came out because nobody just wanted to play it anymore.
Right.
I didn't like the game when it came out, but
yeah, the game was fun. It was by far the most fun BR in my opinion.
I played,
like, not even.
And the equipment were super fun.
I only got to play it a couple times, and I played with JPRO and our friend Wes one time, and I actually really enjoyed it. I got a lot of fun, even though I got to play like a couple games.
It might just be me, but the only battle royale I've ever had fun, even remotely fun playing, was Fortnite. Like, that's it. Like,
see, I enjoyed Fortnite for like a little bit, but it hit me just like Apex and just like Blackout did. It's like there's nothing to play for. Like I guess it's just because I'm competitive and I don't really like to just sit around and like enjoy games, quote unquote. Yeah. But like it just does nothing for me when I don't have anything to play for it. So like a lot of BR games I just sort of fall off on.
Like Fortnite was the game that I would get on with like my RLs and we would just sit there, chill, the four of us, and just goof around and have fun with. So I guess that's why I have more fun playing it. But like, I don't know, I wasn't a fan, to be honest. When Call of Duty announced they were going to put Blackout in the game, and I actually like, I didn't like the announcement at all, to be honest. I think that was the wrong move for them.
No,
it wasn't the wrong move.
It's because BRs in 2018 were just so popular. PUBG, Fortnite, Apex, Blackout.
Yeah.
Like, they're out of all of them, I think they're like, even Ring of Elysium. I don't know, play that game. That was a really fun BR that had like a really interesting twist to it. But capitalizing off of like the hype of something is pretty normal. So take, for example, like MMOs, League of Legends, Dota, Heroes of the Storm, and like 30 other MMOs that came out or just shortly after due to its like rising success. Developers see what's popular and they try to build around it because that's what makes them money. At the end of the day, everything for them is a business and it's about making a profit. And the way they make a profit is by backing off of what what people think is popular, and BRs were what's popular, and that's why Blackout came out. And honestly, Blackout was one of the best BRs in my opinion, just the way it came out.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think them adding it in definitely led up to like the drop date like hype, like the amount of like top content creators that were playing Blackout initially when it first came out was like, it was huge.
Do you remember when they dropped the beta and like as soon as it came out, everybody was playing? It didn't matter who you were, if community, everyone was playing Blackout.
Bro, I remember we literally.
I wasn't playing Blackout.
I remember I literally.
I skipped class.
Facts. I was just about to say that. I literally skipped class that day. Like I had my first class, and then they said they were dropping, and I was like, dude, I'm going home. Like I literally ran home to go play it.
See, my story is kind of similar. So Blackout wasn't supposed to come out till noon my time, but 10, and my class like was supposed to start at 11, so I quietly snuck out and just went and played Blackout. Like I didn't care at that point, and like no one's gonna stop me. I'm gonna go play Blackout.
See,
I played Blackout for like 9 hours that day. It was great.
Yeah.
That goes back to as far as Fortnite, like, you know, when Fortnite was getting popular, you know, and like when season 4 dropped, if you looked around my class, we probably had, I don't know, there's probably 65 people in there. Almost like at least a third of the class had their computers out with a controller sitting there behind the screen in the middle of class trying to play Fortnite. Like,
that's that Mississippi State education for you. Motherfuckers supposed to be learning about building our rockets. They back there playing
no,
Fortnite.
this wasn't aerospace class.
I was about to say
Gotcha.
we in trouble. But
This wasn't aerospace.
now one more thing that I had in terms of like the future of esports was like in terms like from a collegiate standpoint at least, like I talked about earlier how I want to see like professional esports like with the travel thing and going to like state to state. Yeah, I honestly, bro, I truly think that if we had backing and like, of course at this point all esports programs will have to like have actual programs, you know what I mean, like paid staff and stuff like that, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Where we could honestly do that just like our collegiate athletes do. And it doesn't have to be like as big of a scale. Like I would get on a bus if I had to. Like I know Ole Miss, our football team probably takes planes and stuff to go wherever, but like I would literally, if I had to, I would take a bus to go wherever to compete. And I know I can speak for my teammates when they agree. And I think a lot of people in the CC, like imagine traveling for your home or your away CCO games. Like how fun would that be?
That would, I think, yeah, or do something similar to the way over. They have, you know, I think Dallas had what was called the Homestead, where there were like 6 or so matches that were played.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just so a team traveled this other place, they only played, you know, 1 match, but rather there were like 6 different matches. All these teams met up, they all played each other in a home like a event. I think that could be super cool. And
that's what I was meaning by the like the regional thing for the CWL.
Yeah, I definitely think that'd be dope to see. I like I said, we're all involved in collegiate esports mostly, so I think that's what like we're focused on, and I'm sure we all want to see the advancement of that. And for me, I think that would be huge. And just like I feel like more collegiate esports like events in general, and more representation at things like TwitchCon. I don't think there's ever been a TwitchCon panel on like collegiate esports or like stuff like that. Just like to get the word out, and I think it needs to be a bigger thing. And I think even in my school where we have like a program, like people still come up to me and don't know that we have like an esports program. I think that's a problem.
I think that's one thing that's like really good right now about the community is shout out to Clerky from E United for just tweeting about college esports all the time. Like he's the, you know, the general manager for Maryville's esports, and their team just won the League of Legends national championship that I think it was ESPN co-hosted.
Yep.
But like he talks about college esports all the time. He even had a thread about collegiate Call of Duty the other day, which I thought was really fascinating to see what he thought about it.
Yeah.
And you know, some of the ideas that he thinks could take college Call of Duty to the next level, because his rationale was like he doesn't know why it, you know, hasn't been a thing Activision's done yet, simply because I would say a large majority of like college students, you know, play Call of Duty in some aspect. Like Call of Duty is just Call of Duty at least was, you know, that game. And I'm really hoping with Modern Warfare that, you know, people will be like, oh, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I remember playing, you know, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, you know, after school coming home, we were playing Spec Ops, or we were playing Survival, you know, we were playing, you know, Search and Destroy or whatever, just all the time with the friends. And since, you know, the new one has like some sort of similarity to it, that it'll become that game again. And I really think it can, if what I've heard is true, that I really think it can and will be that game. But it just makes so much sense for, you know, like college Call of Duty, right? Which is one of the reasons that I'm super passionate about the CCL. Is like there's so many things that I think can make it the best league in college esports, and I think we're like, I think it is on that territory. I think.
Already, I mean, what league is better than the CCL?
I mean, Tespa, because they have a lot of money. But I've
I've heard a lot of bad things about Tespa League though.
Like if I don't know, if I could get 5 minutes with somebody, 5 minutes. Just with like somebody talk about college Call of Duty, I think I could convince them about its future.
I 100%, but I like this is just what I 100% believe. I truly believe that if we had a prize pool in the CCL, it would be a wrap. Like our audience would go up, participation would go up. I feel like even some like not top AMs maybe, but like the mid-tier AMs that like aren't in school, I truly believe that they would see this as an avenue for them to compete in. because of course you'll have your people that be like, oh, that's free cash, so they would come and play, and I think it would up the level of competition, especially. So I think that's like one of the things holding us back from leagues like TESPA and the CSL and stuff like that. But other than that, like as far as production value and stuff and like the content, like we talked about how we need to improve on content, but I feel like we already put out better content than any of those leagues.
So I can't say too much, but Marco and I were on a call last night talking about the schedule for this next year. 6 out of the 7 days there's going to be content. We're working on, ironing out the details, getting graphics made for it, like all that type of stuff. But in terms of production, like I don't want to brag or anything, but I do think we definitely have the best production in college esports.
Oh, yeah, I agree, 100%. But so big things hopefully on the rise for professional esports and especially collegiate esports, hopefully. So the next segment, tunes of the week, I actually thought about this today too. Just having everybody go through and give our live audience as well as the people listening on other platforms like 3 songs that you've just listened to like throughout the past week that you like, they just hit really heavy to you and why. So y'all want me to start, or Shaq, you want to start? What's up?
Y'all can start it.
Okay. So for me, number 1, I have Young Grizzly World by T Grizzly, A Boogie with a Hoodie, and YNW Melly. Really good like trap ballad. It has like a lot of aggressive like singing, sort of. Like if you listen to YNW Melly, you know what you're gonna get out of him. But I really enjoy it. It's really a good song, I feel like. I have a King's Nightmare by Polo G from his debut album Die a Legend. Really another really good like trap ballad, a little more rapping and a lot less singing, but it's still really good like trap ballad, I feel like. And then finally I have What Happened to the Kids by Tory Lanez. It's a really introspective song about black on black crime. Actually, it's like really, really good. I really enjoy it, and I think it's like a new avenue for Tory Lanez. He's not a really like introspective rapper a lot of times. I feel like he tackled a really good topic, especially with the recent passing of Nipsey Hussle. I think we've seen a surge of a lot of rappers start to talk about more serious topics and sort of try to carry on what Nipsey was doing. So yeah, those are my 3.
That's actually a really interesting 3. Shaq, you can go next.
So it's kind of interesting. So I know some of y'all know my recent history. So I've actually been, because of my girlfriend, I've actually been listening to Worth It a good bit this week. That's one of the songs that was on this playlist.
By who?
Pull it up. I don't remember.
This man.
I'm not good with artists. Hang on.
He's talking about Worth It by YK Osiris, for those that don't know. YK Osiris is one of the people that made the XXL Freshman list, as we talked about earlier.
Like, I've actually been listening to that song a good bit this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, it's kind of weird, but it's a throwback, with DJ Avicii. You remember Wake Me Up?
Oh, my.
It's a
Did
throwback.
you just call him DJ Avicii?
Avicii. Yeah. Fucking Wake Me Up. I don't know. I haven't really listened to a lot of music other than that. That's just like when I've been by myself, I've just had that song going in the background. It just gives me good vibes this week. I don't know. It's just clicked.
All right. What's your 3rd?
What's my 3rd? I mean, I don't really have like a certain 3rd, I don't guess. This week, to be honest.
Shaq, if you don't have a 3rd, I'll go.
Not Project Dreams?
No, I hadn't even been listening to it like religiously this week. It's a great song. I've listened to it a couple times, but like I haven't like listened to it every day.
Yeah. All right, JPRO, your turn.
All right, so
that man sat up in his chair. He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait to give his 3.
Okay, so I got to talk about an album before I get.
Okay.
So, guy has been, I don't know if controversial is the word, but people think he's just like me necessarily.
Lil Nas X?
Isn't it's Lil Nas X?
Yeah.
So his EP 7 came out, and I'm not gonna lie, I really like the
bro.
EP.
Panini goes so hard. I'm not even in front. Panini goes hard, bro.
Not even my favorite.
Really? You probably like Rodeo, huh?
So I do like Rodeo, but that's not the song I've been listening to. So it's Closure, or they put the 7 for the yeah. I don't know why, but I really like that song. Something about it just vibing with it. The second song I've been listening to a lot this past week, Money in the Grave by Drake, because he's the GOAT. I know it's okay. It's okay. And then Down Bad by Dreamville, J. Cole, JD.
Mm-hmm.
I really like those 3 songs are what I've been listening to this past week. They're just on a replay.
Okay, I like it. Pretty good picks besides the DJ Avicii song.
I've lost full, but that's fine.
Oh my god! All right, we
I
gotta.
called him DJ Avicii, but it's Avicii.
We're gonna go ahead and jump to the
Apologies.
Q&A
Rest in
portion.
peace, brother.
We have a lot of questions to get through.
So I got a lot of time. So
first question comes from Josh J Money. Shout out to Josh, ULO COD captain.
J Money.
Can a CCL eventually become a pipeline for amateur players to make it to the professional scene, kind of like the major sports, basketball, football, etc.? We sort of touched on this earlier. Honestly, that's my hope. Of course, if that happens, it would definitely be down the line when we're probably not like involved with the CCL anymore, obviously.
Definitely.
But I definitely think it could happen. Like I said, I think the CCL would have to get in talks to implement a prize pool. I think we would have to have at least one LAN, preferably playoffs, of course. And I also think that the esports organizations would have to get more involved with their teams. Yeah.
Can I get? I want to touch on this again. So
Go for it, Shaq.
yeah, the NCAA does not need to pick this up. However, I think in order for it, okay, if the NCAA picks this up, it needs to be a spread out process. They don't need to just step in and they need to be able to forgive and forget because of I know everybody that's ever played Call of Duty competitively has played in some sort of money tournament. Mm-hmm. And by NCAA rules, you're all disqualified and cannot play in the NCAA if it picks up because of that. However, if the NCAA doesn't pick it up, I think there needs to be an esports specialized, regulating body that could pick it up, for all collegiate esports.
I don't think TESPA's good enough, though. That's what you're talking about.
It's not TESPA. There's Here, I'll find it.
I think in order for it to be as big enough to do that, it's got to have one central governing body similar to the NCAA to kind of coordinate everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just my biggest thing. Like I said, with the CCL, I think it's just a matter of having a prize pool and giving those top AMs incentive to want to come and play. Because I know we have a few players that definitely have some traction in the AM scene. I know Shane really made some noise at Anaheim. I think J Money's a pretty decently popular player. I know Kush Point, Go Tunes, both of them are really big on the AM scene.
Hey, Toddy's been getting up there too, to be honest.
Yeah, Toddy.
Well.
Yeah, Toddy. So I think we definitely have talent there. I think it's just a matter of giving people incentive to want to play and getting in some of those top AMs, and then I think we can become the feeder system to the CWL, the franchise league.
And Young Rex, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this: as long as there is collegiate sports, the NCAA will never be irrelevant.
Next question. What's up?
Can I answer the question?
Oh, I don't know. You were just sitting there.
I didn't answer. So I think it would be cool if it happened, but I think especially in the way Call of Duty functions, I don't know if it could work out. Mm-hmm. And it could happen, right? So one of the things that I've seen when I've talked to people is that Call of Duty is such a twitchy shooter, such a high reaction time shooter, and most people's prime for the reaction time is 13 to 25, I would say. And so one of the things I've heard is that having a forced through college into professional, by the time you get out of college and say for example you're one and done, you're 19, right? You only have 6 years of your prime, whereas you only have the previous 6 years or whatever. Would I want it to happen? Yes, I do, because I think it would be a really good system for developing talent and teaching players not only about the game and how to be a good esports athlete, but also how to navigate the world of esports business. We hear about contract situations so many times about how bad it is, and I think they could learn that process through a college esports organization. But it's just it's very weird because Call of Duty and other esports isn't like basketball where you can play until you're 43 and still having a big impact. And I know there's some there's some caveats to it. There's certain 32 players. Octane is not. Clayster's the oldest person in the league and he still fries. And there's some Smash players who are getting up there. I think there's a Smash player who's late 20s, early 30s who fries.
Mm-hmm.
But
I want to respond to something in the chat. So,
bro, stop responding to stuff in the chat because we got people listening on iTunes and stuff, bro, and they're not gonna know what's going on.
All right.
So next question comes from @Lou Doesn't Miss. If the CCL moves to a multi-league format, Premier League, Challenger League, how would you go about placing teams that did not play in season one? I think there's really only one question to this. I think first of all, it wouldn't just be people that didn't play in season one playing in these or getting placed in these things manually. I think everybody should have to play in the placement tournament thing. I don't think we should have it to where even if you have like a core three, I think you should still have to go and play. It's a new game. You don't know who's going to be as talented in this game. So I definitely think everybody should have to play in it, and then we use that to place people in the two different leagues. Other than that, other than playing in like a relegation type tournament, I don't know how you would place people in that scenario.
Yeah. So ideally, what I would want to happen, right, is that we would have like 4 open qualifiers. Friday night, Saturday night, and then the next week a Friday night and a Saturday night, right? We just do it in 2 weeks, have 4 tournaments, right? So if you can't make it out to one tournament, then you can play in whatever other tournaments. And I think one of the issues that I found during season one was trying to convince people to like want to show up and play these teams. Like I think we did a phenomenal job of like getting people to play even when there wasn't a lot to play for. But I think with a prize pool that could convince a lot more people to play, because then they're actually playing for something, right? They're playing for not necessarily just a title, but they're playing for some sort of prizing. And I think that would be a good motivator for people to play in those tournaments, because knowing, like, say for example, if we had the 2 leagues, we had like the open and like the invite, or not invite but premier, like essentially like premier would probably have like a bigger prize pool, right, than just the open. So all these teams would be putting in the time and effort to make sure they got into that division simply because they want to play for the cash. And
Right.
I think that's how we could do it.
You got any input, Shaq?
My only input on that is like, we're all trying to get this to grow collegiately. Like, I'm down for like, and y'all know I came from like a not so great team, so so like, yeah, I'm 100% down for like the Premier and Open League, but I don't think like if you're gonna do that, I don't think anybody should be cut out of the Open League. I think if you have 5 and you're able to play, you should be able to at least play your season, just like other sports and stuff. Like you're not gonna kick fucking like you're not gonna kick like this low tier SEC school off just because they go 0-25 in a basketball season.
I agree, but I don't. Hopefully,
Yeah.
what we hope to accomplish with the Open League, if it is implemented, is just the fact that we don't think teams are gonna go 0-25 anymore, just because like you'll have your different levels of competition within those two leagues. So hopefully that'll make the league more competitive as a whole. I feel like, because I know I've heard multiple people talk about how like this past season, after like the top 4 teams, like the drop off was huge in terms of like skill. Like you had Emerald, Ole Miss, Humber, and Toronto, and you can throw in Ohio State in there, and then like that was it. Like after that, it was just like a complete drop off in terms of skill. So I think hopefully that's what we can alleviate this season.
And that's one thing that I know for a fact. Marco and I, when like we were in the call last night, we said that Thursday night we're gonna sit down, we're gonna have a chat, we're gonna talk about like where we think this season should go, and that's what I want, right? I want 2 divisions. I think that's the best situation, because I want teams to play good competition, and I don't mean good competition as like a real like they're gonna play the team that has like the best skill level. They're gonna play the Humbers and the Ole Misses. What I want is like I want like a Mississippi State White to play a team that has a skill level comparable to Mississippi State White. So that way they can grow as a team, they can learn, they can play together. And I know for a fact that when you're playing and you're just getting smoked, that it's really easy to just be frustrated and to not want to play anymore. And I know there's some merit in like learning from failure, right? But when you constantly get smoked, like you get smoked week after week after week, it does something like mentally, it does something to team morale. And I think with 2 divisions, we can alleviate that situation, and we can have more of those high octane matches of like the Humber and the Ole Misses and the Ohio States and the University of Torontos, the not FSUs. We can have all of these different things together to make good competition that not only are good matches, but they're good for learning and good for advancing as a team,
and good for viewership too. The next GoTunes went in, bro. Shout out GoTunes. He at GoTunes, that's 1T. He has 5 questions. Do you think the top teams in the CCL should keep their seed from last year? No. Like I said, it's a new game. Like I said, even if you have your core 3, I think it's a new game, new season. I think we should all have to. And this is, like I said, this is coming from literally person to play second. I think we should have to all replay to gain our entry.
Exactly. And I think we could use like what you did last season as seeding for like qualifier tournament.
Yeah, like host and stuff like that.
Praying for some hosting news in a couple of weeks. But I think we can use that for like determining seeds for qualifying tournaments. So, potentially you can set yourself up in like a better bracket.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're not gonna let teams like just because you did well last year, we're not just gonna retain, they're the number 1 seed, to get into the league.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, play-ins should happen. Like, definitely play-ins should happen for your top league to get that competition. But I feel like everybody else should be able to still like compete on the lower one.
Yeah, I think as long as they make the deadline, like I don't want like this random team joining the open league like after it's already started.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Once I think if they make that deadline, then I think all the open teams should be able to play.
Yeah, and one thing that is really important to me is making sure that we're able to maintain competitive integrity like throughout the entirety of the season. I know there's a lot of questions about that during season 1. So it's essentially just making like a good atmosphere for college esports, specifically Call of Duty, because it doesn't have one, or it didn't have one, and we gotta make sure it does.
His next question: thoughts on grandfathering teams that were merged? So my opinion on merging, JPRO, how I feel about this, chalked. I hate it. I hate merging. I hate that was ever a rule. Like, there should be no instance in where Oregon puts together a team of all 5 people from their school and like they try to teach their players and get better. And then you have Emerald, who literally goes to Florida State, one of the biggest schools, if not one of the most like popular schools like in the Southeast. And they can't put together 5 from their school. They have to go and get make this God squad. Like, no, it just shouldn't happen. And Emerald isn't the only team that did it. Don't get me wrong, I know that. Like, you had LU Red that had Bobby, probably their best player on that team, and it's just I just don't agree with it at all. I think that shouldn't be a thing. Right. To be honest.
Yeah, I think, and that's what, in my opinion, and I've been an avid. This has been my argument from the beginning. People can like it, whatever. I don't think it should be allowed because if you've got a school with an esports program, or even without an esports program, you're wanting to represent that school. And if you don't go to that school, then it's just like other sports. You can't represent that school if you don't go to that school. That's been kind of my argument the whole time.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Corporate, JPRO?
Corporate. I don't ever want to. Merging probably should be chalked.
Agreed.
Probably. I think one of the things that I've talked about a lot is making in no other, Division 1 sport do they allow, say for example, Duke University, right? Oh, hey, North Carolina or UNC, you got a good player, come play for Duke. That doesn't happen. And I think we did it for season 1 was just because there was these players who were close to teams or schools that had teams, but there was not a chance for them to get a full 5. And I think that sucks, and I think that's really tough, and I want to try to do something for those teams. But at the end of the day, for the name is College Call of Duty League. It's not college plus your 3 friends that live 30 miles to the north, right? And you have to represent your school. And we found out that there was an issue with that, with a certain team that I'm going to choose not to name, but their school's esports program was upset because they found out that they were playing with 4 players from one school, and then they had a guy playing from a school just a couple miles up the road. They were upset because we were on stream representing that, but that student didn't necessarily represent them. It wasn't. And the problem is they couldn't be held accountable for actions they made within the CCL Discord or on stream because they didn't go to that school, and it just makes for a really large headache. So at the end of the day, I realistically think merging isn't going to happen this next season. You're gonna have to find the 5 from your school. You're going to have to check a box that all 5 are from this school or whatever, and if you're not, it's a hot DQ / some other penalty.
And for the people that don't agree with that or have a problem with that, my question to you is, why is it that with this one esport, it has to be different. Whereas in other collegiate esports, nobody has ever had a merging rule.
I can
ever.
answer that question. This is what I've seen, and people. I've also said this from the beginning, and nobody will ever prove me wrong on this. So you cannot tell me that even the smallest community colleges, for the most part, are going to have around 1,000 people or more, or else you're not making any. They're not making any money from that community college. Okay, you cannot tell me that there's not 5 people out of 1,000 that play Call of Duty. You're just being too selective at that point.
Right. It like if some of these schools and these other leagues can put together teams for CS:GO and League of Legends in 2019, bro, I guarantee you can find 5 people at your school to play Call of Duty. You're just not taking initiative and not looking for them because you want to be this God squad that has the best players, and you don't want to take the time to teach people. And I think that's like the most annoying part of it to me.
Yeah, like I go to like my campus, right? There's probably like less than $2,000 on my campus, right? And I was able to find, we found 3 players that want to play Call of Duty. Then there's me that we could have played, as a fourth who would have stayed 4v4. But like, I know for a fact that this next year, especially if it's I'm not gonna say that, but like, especially with like the way Call of Duty is going, more and more people are probably gonna play it because the name's Modern Warfare and they kind of relate to it. Like I said earlier, because it's back in the old days, but still. If you're not able to find a full 5 from your school that plays Call of Duty, I think you just need to look a little bit harder. Like Serge, I know for a fact that you like had to go out and try to find people.
Yeah, I go to Ole Miss, and I had to actively like go out and like still try really hard to find players. And then like once you start off getting that string of players, like and you represent the league. Like I can't tell you how many DMs I got on Twitter, DMs I got on Discord from this past year after people seeing us play, being like, "Yo, like I didn't even know we had a COD team. Like, can I join?" And it's easy from there.
I was even like, and you can ask Polly on this. I was like, when people were moving in weekend, I was knocking on doors just finding out who had a PlayStation and asking if they played COD. Like,
and I know for a fact, like if you are looking for players, like posting your school's Reddit, and like if you want to tweet out about it and then DM me, and I'll retweet it from the College COD account, I'll retweet it from my personal account, just to make sure that we're doing everything we can to like help you actively, promote and recruit for your team. Because at the end of the day, like we're playing for our schools. We're playing for ourselves. We want to win, obviously, but we're playing for the school that we're representing, and forming a team is just a good way to represent
and like
your school, like just getting out there, exposure. Like sorry to cut you off, Serge, but like Humber for example, right? Like they had there was like one guy that was like constantly retweeting Humber COD and how well they were doing in the CCL, who was like a PhD and something or whatever, and he was like, hey, this COD team's like doing really well. It's just about getting exposure out there for yourself, and you can do that.
I agree with Scotty. If for those that don't know, Scotty or DJ Posty is a staff member or a faculty member at Ole Miss, and he really helps out a lot with some of the Ole Miss stuff that goes on. But what he mentioned with the move-in stuff, like getting involved on campus and like in different volunteer things and talking to the people that you're volunteering for, that can always help a lot. I know like if your school has different forums through like a school portal or even outside of it, like I know my school has like a Reddit like thread or whatever, and like I would even post on there if I needed to, to try to find players. So there's so many different avenues, and I think a lot of people just have to take initiative and just learn that, like, listen, just like in professional sports or in like collegiate sports, you're not gonna have a guy squad every year. Like it's just not gonna happen. So like sometimes you're gonna have to take that initiative and build onto what you have and just work with that and like build for the future.
And one of the things that can happen is you can say, for example, you're not having a great year, right? It happens in every sports program. Like Duke every year isn't always just going to be, insane. Like they're going to be, decent every year, but they're not going to win the national championship every year. Like all these schools aren't going to win the national championship every year, but what they can do is they can set up a system to help promote growth, to foster excellence essentially, and work on players, right? If you have a freshman coming in who has some natural gun skill in Call of Duty, he's a pub star, but he doesn't really know competitive. You set in a system how to get better at competitive Call of Duty. There's different ways you can go about getting better at the game. scrims, league play, playing tens, even watching other people play, just putting in a system on how to get better is so important, and it'll make the team, better 2-3 years down the road. Like we hear the phrase, trust the process, and if we don't, trust the process of making teams better, we're expecting too much from ourselves in just a short time. Because we can't all be natural. We can't all be the next Scump, the next Crim Six, the next Kenny. We can't all do that. But what we can do is we can work our way towards our way up the ladder.
I'll take Mississippi State Maroon for example. The difference between granted they made a couple roster changes, but where they were like the beginning of the season versus where they got to towards the end, like just seeing how much time they put in as a team, and same thing with Oregon. Like I know Oregon didn't become like a god squad obviously, but like watching their streams at the beginning of the season versus the end, they got so much better, like just putting time in. And I think a lot of people just don't like in the COD community. There's a lot of egos, I feel like, and with that comes people not wanting, like I said, to take the time out to teach people. So I think that's just a mentality thing that has to change. What were you gonna say?
Last thing. One thing is that like people need to realize that there's too much ego in Call of Duty right now. There's too much ego. Everybody thinks they're always better than everybody else. How do you expect, that one player in tens that isn't doing the best to get better if you're just gonna ego him every time when he doesn't?
Amen, brother.
But no, I'm 100% serious. Like it's the exact same way with like with sports. When you're playing a pickup game, there's that odd man out that doesn't get picked because no one wants to play with him. We can't realistically expect players to get better if we're not giving them the opportunity to grow. Especially for something as simple as tens, right? It's not like you're playing tens for $85,000. You're just playing for fun, and that's how you get better. And if there's somebody that you don't think is playing that well, you should pull them aside and be like, hey, I see you didn't have the greatest map or whatever, and be like, I saw you do this on the map. Here's what you can do to fix it. Tell them how you got better. Tell him how you are. Tell them how you can get better, and hopefully they learn from that, right? The best we can do to get people better is to teach them, right? This is an analogy that I don't know anywhere, but give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he eats for a lifetime. If you don't teach people how to play and how to get better, they're not going to. Sure, in this one moment, like they'll get carried to a win, but if you're not teaching, you're not helping this next generation, we're not going anywhere.
In your opinion, is there any new? This is still go-tos, by the way. We have 3 more questions for him. In your opinion, is there any new teams? Are there any new teams to look out for in season 2 of the CCL? And are there any teams that you want to play? I want my Humber rematch. I want it so bad, bro. Kush Point, I am getting in your cheeks next season, bro. You are not going to be able to slide out and shot punch my 2 best players anymore, bro. It is a wrap for you. Swear to Bob, I'm coming for those cheeks, bro.
So I got 3 teams I'm looking out for. Texas A&M. I think they're pretty nasty. They're pretty good. I think Alabama is going to have a squad next year. I think they might be good. And then here's my dark horse. I don't think he's in the chat. My man, Mr. J Pistachio at UT Dallas.
Yo, I forgot about him.
Pistachio is nasty on the stick, so I know for a fact that.
And what I like about him, what I like about Jay is like he has the same mentality that we have. Like I know he's not gonna be like, of course he's gonna look for the best players possible, but he's not the type of person that's gonna be like, oh, these kids suck. Like I'm not gonna try to take the time out to teach. That's one of the things I respect about Huntley so much this season is like there could have been so many times where he just like gave up on that team that he had at ACU, but instead like he buckled down and like genuinely tried to teach them, and I think a lot of those players got better because of it. But I know like in terms of teams to look out for, I definitely think we talk a lot of trash back and forth, Ole Miss and this school, but Texas A&M, I think that team is going to be nasty. I know that a lot of them prefer the slower Call of Duties that don't involve like the sliding and stuff. I think FSU is going to be better because I think if they get rid of their mergers, they have Gentry, who was better apparently at the older Call of Duties, and I think one of their biggest issues whenever we scrimmed them with Gentry was that he couldn't keep up with all the movement and stuff. So I definitely
this game's just wild.
Yo, you gotta be a crackhead to play Black Ops 4. It's
so I think if Gentry can hold his own in this game, I think that team's gonna be really nasty. And then of course Humber, defending champs. Like I said earlier, I think nasty. They're still gonna be nasty. I don't even think they lost anybody from their roster. They might
I think they lose one. They lose one.
Ooh.
I can't remember who it is. I can't remember who it is, but I know Cush Point, GoTunes, and Stevie are back.
What about Nakama? People slept on Nakama, bro.
I can't remember who it is. I'll have to DM.
Every time we played them, Nakama was always the hardest kill for me. Every single time. Like I could not touch that kid, bro.
That dude was a glitch on the map.
I swear to God.
Like I'd be. Side note, one thing that's really dope about the way Humber operates is that they have two players who took it upon themselves to recognize, we're not the best players on the team, but we can still contribute to it. Yeah. I got to give a massive shout out to Checo and Crozier. Those two still watching VODs, preparing the team, coaching the team, even though that team's just nasty on the map, still having, two players in your club support you like that and be willing to put in that extra time and effort to help you. That's massive. I got to give a big shout out to those dudes.
Yeah. This next one, if you could go pro in a game, what game would it be besides COD? Fortnite, bro. Bro, give me in there with those. Give me in there with those.
The money, bro.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Give me in there with those little Timmies. I will literally hide in a house and place 30th and make 50K. Easy cash,
that's more than you make in 2 years right now.
Exactly. So easy cash. Give me in there with the little Timmies in Fortnite. I'm down.
The game I'd want to go pro in is probably Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is like one of my favorite games. Like it's probably the game on PC that I have the second most hours in, and the other game that I have the most hours in is Minecraft, but that's not a competitive game. But Counter-Strike is just so fun to play. Like Counter-Strike mechanics just like feel good all the time. There's so much strategy in the game that even if your gun skill isn't, insane, you can have such good strategy and carry through. Counter-Strike's just probably my second favorite game of all time, behind Call of Duty.
I think y'all can all guess mine.
2K.
Shaq's gonna say 2K. I want to be in the 2K league.
I would be back playing 2K.
But Shaq, okay. So we just talked about how like the 2K league's on like the decline, right? Like a steep decline. So if you're thinking about your future, why would you join a league that is?
So here's the thing. I'm pretty sure I've already said this on stream before anyway, so I don't really care. I don't game, I wouldn't be trying, and this is why when y'all asked before, it's like, if I could go, like, if I had the opportunity to play like professional COD even, would I do it? And I told y'all, I said, to be honest, I probably wouldn't. And I told y'all that, I think when we had this discussion last time, just because of the fact I do it, like I game for fun. And then if after fun, if it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. 2K is a game, like if I had to sit there and play it and genuinely probably and get paid to play it in the 2K league, I could actually enjoy my time playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't do that with like CS and some of the other games because like I don't have fun playing them. Yeah. I have fun playing.
That's understandable. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in doing what you love first. His last one. Would you rather be super good at a game but never be a pro, or be a pro but be average at best? Easy. I'd rather be super good and never be a pro because I could just create content off of it. Easy cash.
Yeah, I feel the same, but for a different reason. Like nobody wants to be a professional player and then never get a chance. Like nobody wants to be like that average player, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're really good at something, like, and I'd just rather be really good at it, because if you're in, like, say for example, you're in the CWL, right? But you're just like this really average player. Because you're an average player, you're on a burger team that like has like zero shot of ever winning an event. I would rather, just be really good at something.
Yeah.
And just because, like, for example, I could play GB tournaments, I could play wagers, I could play CMG tournaments, I could do all of that, without having to be a professional player and still, smoke teams.
There's so many more avenues that you can do with something that you actually enjoy doing than just playing pro. Like,
yeah. Next question comes from @state_. That's STXTE_. Which platform would you prefer COD be on? PC or PS4? Controller only? ? I think for me, the ideal thing is going to be PC with controllers. Or if they take the Fortnite route, just give controllers aim assist and just have mouse and keyboard players do what they do.
No.
No.
Jack, I'll answer this question. Serge, in my opinion, PC is the future of all esports. Like, I love consoles. Console gaming is where I got my start, and I think consoles are always going in the market. But I think because PC, I can make a PC that's significantly, cheaper than a PS4 and get like the same performance out of it. But PC with a controller, with locked settings, right? So if they lock the computer like 60 FPS, a certain FOV, right, and certain graphical setting, I think that's better. Not only is it better for connection reasons, because dedicated servers on PC just seem to be so much easier than it is on console. I'm looking at Treyarch right now. Why didn't Black Ops 4 have daddies? But it's just the PC controller is just the better option. And to your point about like giving controllers aim assist, even with aim assist, like there's still players with controller on Fortnite that still get smoked by PC players with mouse and keyboard because it's just that much more precise. And I know there's some players out there who still do it. Like Nick Merckx, for example, he's a freak because he uses a controller. Like that dude's insane. But still, even then, it's just really tough. And I think keeping a fair, like a level playing ground, right? It feels weird to me when there would be an esport where not everybody is using, the exact same equipment.
That's just I think the only argument that I don't get is like the people that want to completely switch to mouse and keyboard, just because like with what we're about to do with franchising, if you kill off your entire pro scene, like who are we gonna follow? Like your star players are gonna be gone because none of them are gonna want to switch to mouse and keyboard. Maybe a handful.
I know for a fact that there's some like Call of Duty players who are nasty on keyboard and mouse.
Karma.
Like all of Optic. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but they play like before Anaheim, they're playing Battalion on stream every night, and they're all nasty. I know for a while, Scump and Nadeshot, when they played together, they were playing CS:GO. After scrims when they were at like the Red Bull training facility. There's like a vlog I vividly remember watching where they were playing Counter Strike. And Karma's nasty on keyboard and mouse, Scump's nasty keyboard and mouse, Crim, Dashy, Teej, they're all nasty. And there's a lot of other players who are also nasty on keyboard and mouse, and I think they could make the transition. But like the other 80% of pros, I don't know if they'd make the transition that well.
And I think that just completely kills our viewership in a year that like we really need increase in viewership.
So
yeah, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Franchising is make or break for Call of Duty esports. Either like the next like 3 years are like some of the best years COD esports has ever seen, or it's just like a slow decay. And I'm really betting on the former rather than the latter.
Yeah. What about you, Shaq?
So I'm going to go back to the 2K League. The 2K League made this swap. I'm just using it for an example because that's kind of what COD is like. The way I see it, like the framework, I think COD is pretty much taking that framework and making it better. Like, essentially.
You mean the Overwatch League framework?
Well, no, Overwatch is still, like, it's not controllers.
Oh, I thought you meant, like, just having, like, the teams represented by different cities.
No. Essentially, kind of like John was saying, if you can lock settings on a PC to basically make all your PCs kind of on a fair playing field, like that's essentially, I know people might not want to ever hear this, but that's essentially turning the PC into like a new breed of console because everything's locked, but you're still got controllers only. Okay, like you can use any controller, and that's exactly what the 2K League did. Like the 2K League all play on Alienware PCs that are exact same with frame locks, with just adapters to use whatever controller they want to use, whether it be PS4 or Xbox.
Yeah, so I think we all agree that PCs with the controller is probably the best way to go. So wait, so were y'all saying earlier that you don't think that only controller players should have aim assist if it does go the route of Fortnite?
Yeah. So if it goes the route of Fortnite where you can do keyboard, mouse, or controller should have aim assist, but keyboard and mouse shouldn't.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I just hope it doesn't.
Yeah, me neither. Next question comes from Edgy, EDJIE _. Besides COD, what other esports do you follow? Which team do you support? I'm gonna keep it a buck. There's not an esport that I follow like religiously, bro. Like I watched the Overwatch League, and of course I'm an Outlaws fan. I really like the there's a team that wears pink, and it's like the Shock. Is that JPRO?
In the Overwatch League?
Yeah, it's like they wear pink. I don't know if it's the Shock. It's something like that, bro. I can't think of the name.
Hold on, I gotta Google search it now because it's gonna bother me.
Yeah, but I definitely like the Outlaws.
It's like the Spark, I think.
Yeah, I really like them. I like the Shanghai Dragons too because they're like the underdog team. And then I don't follow a lot of professional Rocket League. I just watch tournaments from here to there.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. League of Legends I actually wasn't a fan of until 100 Thieves started their heist series on YouTube, and like that made me a fan. Like I watch 100 Thieves like League of Legends games all the time now, and I really like their team, so I follow them a lot. Gears of War I like Optic, obviously. I was really a big fan of competitive Halo for a while, but that obviously fell apart. But other than that, I don't really watch a lot of Counter-Strike. Don't watch a lot of Rocket League. Don't watch a lot of R6. If competitive Fortnite is on, I'll watch it. You know, just because like there's a lot of money on the line, and I like that they give a lot of younger kids like opportunities. Like I'll watch it if it's on, but for the most part, for me, it's like COD, Overwatch, and League of Legends.
So for me, in terms of what I watch, when I started watching esports, I watched everything, and I don't watch everything anymore, but I watch quite a bit. So I'd have to write a list down. So COD, Overwatch, Gears, Counter-Strike, Halo, Smash. I feel like I'm forgetting. Dota? Did I say Dota already? League. I don't know. I like basically if there's an esport, I'll probably watch. Like I don't have a lot of preferences. That's one of the things I really like about esports is a lot of the time if I don't know too much about the esport, I can just go in and watch it. And commentators do a fantastic job of just laying out the game for me.
Right.
So much so that it's easy to get hooked on. But for me, if I'd pick like the top 5 that I watch a lot, just like Call of Duty, I'm an Optic fan. Gears of War, I'm also gonna support Optic there. Counter-Strike, I was a big Cloud9 fan when it was the team of like Stewie, Shroud, Automatic, Skadoodle, and Nothing like that. That'll be like my NA team for the rest of the time. But I'm a big fan of Team Liquid right now. Because some of the like NAF was an Optic player at one point. I was a big fan of that Optic team as well. So Overwatch, like I am an Outlaws fan, but there isn't like one team that I'll like always root for. Like I enjoy watching just high level Overwatch because it's really fun to see pros play it in a specific way. Like Goat's meta, it's terrible to watch, but if you know what's happening, it's really fun because it's all about timing your cooldowns, making sure that you have a certain ability up at that time, and it's just like really like high IQ plays all the time instead of like Call of Duty we see high IQ plays a lot, but like with the Goats meta for Overwatch, it was high IQ play after high IQ play, and if somebody made a low IQ play, lost the fight for them in a snap, and it was over. So and then Halo, I got to support Tox. What's the fifth? Oh, and then
you say League? I don't think you said your League team.
Yeah. So League. I don't have a favorite League team. I just enjoy watching League. It's one of like the only besides Dota that I can actually watch and like feel comfortable watching it. Also, I gotta give a shout out. I don't watch it much anymore, but StarCraft, one of the first esports I ever watched. StarCraft was so fun back in the day, bro.
About you, Shack?
So I mean, I don't really know. Like, I don't really know about a lot about what goes on in like Overwatch. But when I see CS, competitive CS, I've got to where I'm watching it. I don't guess I really have a certain team that I'm a fan of. I just like watching it play because I'm terrible at it, but it's interesting. Fortnite, I definitely watch Fortnite all the time when I don't have like COD to watch or something and I see something. I watch Fortnite. Like I'll go watch like Ninja and like Shroud or Tfue, not Shroud, Tfue play a lot. Just Fortnite. 2K, I still do. I hadn't kept up with it as much this season, but I did like I used to religiously watch like the 2K League. Just because Dimes, I don't know if y'all know that Dimes, the number 1 overall pick of the Mavericks, first 2K League draft, played against him. Dude's a fucking crazy person. Okay, that's the only game that we've lost on a pro-am that was by like 45 points, and it's because of him.
Yeah.
Also, I'm Ryan 2K that played within the Warriors Esports organization. Like, I watched all of those guys. Like, that's why I still like watching 2K on 2K League, because I know some of the people.
When I did watch, I was a big fan of Grizz Gaming. I know the first season they were absolute garbage, but I was always a Grizz Gaming supporter. Like I said, I don't really watch it anymore. So, the next question comes from at Heat the Elite. Fave NF album? None. They're all garbage. Every single one.
Mansion.
What about you, Shaq? You don't know what NF is, do you?
NF, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Move on. Yeah, Mansion's the correct answer. Although therapy sessions.
Oh my god.
I'm looking forward to his new album.
Next question comes from at JPROSP 8 himself. What movie franchises do you think are the most overrated and why? What movie franchises do you think are the most underrated and why? I'm about to upset some people with this answer.
You're gonna say like Star Wars or something, or Marvel or something like
I'm
that.
about to upset some people with this one.
If you say Marvel, I'm leaving the call.
Overrated. I got Star Wars and Harry Potter.
Oh, actually, yes.
Bro, Harry Potter is trash, bro. Dude. I literally tried to sit there and watch the first one. I have fallen asleep 3 times trying to watch it. I swear to Bob, I cannot make it through a Harry Potter movie. And then Star Wars is just like, I can't. Like I can see the appeal to it, I guess, but I just feel like it's not. The movies aren't as good as they're made out to be. Like, just in my opinion, I just don't like. I don't like them.
That's a bold statement. I like Star Wars a lot, but I can definitely see where people think they're overrated. The prequel trilogy was so everybody hates on that. Like, there's some good moments, honestly, but there's also some like really bad moments from it. And I don't know. The original trilogy is like really good for coming out in the 70s, but it doesn't really hold up to like modern storytelling. And then Episode 8 doesn't exist. I refuse to acknowledge that. Episode 7 wasn't bad. It set up some good things.
I liked Episode 8.
Episode 7 set up good things, but then Episode 8 came in and was just like, why do I care about half these people? Like, what is happening? Why do I
liked Episode 8?
No. And which one was Episode 8?
It was the most recent Star Wars movie, like
the Last Jedi.
I
don't think I saw the Last Jedi. I saw the one before that, and I thought it was really good.
It just didn't make sense why like half the movie had to happen. And there was like some really annoying, like the ship gets blown up and then Princess Leia is like in space and all of a sudden she magically has the Force and pulls herself to the ship, and I'm like, okay, where did this happen? I don't whatever. But that's not my pick for overrated movie series.
Yep.
I agree with you that Harry Potter is 100% an overrated movie series. Like there's not a single ounce of me that's like, man, this was a great film.
Yeah, I can't
along those lines.
Can't.
But yeah.
Well, I'm actually like surprised knowing y'all didn't say one certain group as being overrated. Breaking out. Even though I'm a big fan of them, I really am starting to think the movies are getting overrated, and that's Fast and Furious.
No, not overrated.
No,
if you saw this, if you saw the storyline for Hobbs and Shaw, like that movie is.
It looks great.
It looks
great.
good.
It looks like it's gonna be an action. Okay, so
exactly.
Action-wise, yes, but not storyline.
Okay, but for what they are,
movies. Sorry, go for it, Serge.
For what the Fast and Furious movies are, the only complaint I have is that like it's not racing anymore. But like for what they are, like action movies, they're good. Like
I'm a giant fan of the movies. I've seen every one of them like midnight release since Tokyo Drift. But like, I'm just thinking it's a little overrated.
That's one of the best decisions I think that franchise ever made. They recognize that like, oh, we've done 4 racing movies or whatever. Let's just like shift over and like do something new, right? But maintaining the same continuity of characters. And then they recognize that what they're gonna do is just so outlandish and crazy that they don't even hide how crazy it is, right? That they go for these ridiculous stunts. They're dropping cars out of planes with parachutes. They're jumping from building to building in cars. Like they're doing all these crazy things, and they don't even try to hide the fact about how ridiculous it is. They just do it, and that's what makes the movies enjoyable to watch because of all these crazy shenanigans they're pulling out. Right. Fast and Furious is not overrated. It is arguably a top 5 film franchise.
Bro, I agree, only because like for a franchise to have this much longevity and still put out the numbers that it does, like that says something. Like people can hate on it all they want, but that movie franchise is still more successful than a lot of movies that come out.
And I will say another one that I would think, and I've saw most of the movies, and I was like, it was hyped up so much about the movies but I only thoroughly enjoyed like one of them, and I don't even think they still make them anymore. And that's the Lord of the Rings, like that whole movie franchise.
I never watched that. I've never watched one.
Too.
I never watched a single one.
Wait, you think they're overrated?
No, I think they're overrated. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're overrated.
The only one I actually generally enjoyed. Okay, two. I like the last two Hobbit trilogy movies, and that was it.
Mm. In terms of underrated, about to make some people mad too. Whoo boy!
You're gonna say some anime movies.
Nah, I ain't gonna say the anime movie. It's franchises, bro. Yeah, I'm about to make some people mad. I got three. I got three. Okay, I have. Oh my god, somebody's about to get mad at me, bro. The Hunger Games trilogy, bro.
Yes, that was my answer.
Let's go, J-Pro, dude.
Exactly. Such a good series.
Dude.
Such a good.
Those movies are elite.
Very similar to that. The Divergence. Like the Divergent movies.
Ain't nobody. Nah, get that shit out of here, dude.
I'll talk about that.
Get that out of here, bro. The 4 Hunger Games movies are so good, and people never give it the credit that it deserves, bro. Like I've read like all the books, and like it's so like of course there's always gonna be things missing, but for the most part it stayed so true like to the actual story, and like the soundtracks. Like I remember seeing the first one and just like how beautiful they made the scene with like Rue dying, like that.
Don't do me like that, Serge. I don't remember that.
Beautifully done to me. The next one, this is about to really make some people mad, but people give this series unwarranted hate. The Transformers series of movies. I know there's some pretty bad acting in some of these, but like as far as like the Transformers themselves and the fights, I love these movies. Fun. Yeah, I love them. Fun. The only one that I didn't really like, I didn't see Bumblebee yet, and I haven't
seen it either.
I think it was
on the plane for us to be able to watch.
Oh, I see. I didn't watch it. And the last night I saw that one. The only complaint I had was like it felt like it was too much human in that movie, like and not enough Transformer. Yeah, not enough Transformer.
Like I go to Transformers movies to see Transformers. I don't go to see like Mark Wahlberg. I appreciate you, but I'm here for a Transformers movie.
I think and then my last one that a lot of people give a lot of hate to or don't really talk about as much anymore are the Purge movies. I've never seen them.
I haven't seen enough of those.
I haven't seen the Purge movie, Serge.
I've seen two. I hadn't even seen two. Yeah, I've only seen the second one, and that's it.
Bro,
that's why I like.
We're gonna have a community movie night for my stream, and we're gonna watch the newest Purge movie. Right. Bro, I love the Purge movies. Don't they come out with
one like every year? Like,
nah, not every year. Like maybe every 2 years. Maybe every 2 years.
It's almost every year now.
At one point it was because like the first one and the second one came out from a year-to-year basis. And I think they took a break, and then election year came out, and then I think they came out with the newest one. But either way, I really enjoy them. I think the concept is super dope. I think it's really creative, and it's a different take on horror / action. And I really enjoy them. I don't know why people don't talk about them more.
I feel that.
I got another series similar to that, but they've stopped now, and I wish somebody else would pick them back up because I really do think the movies were underrated, and that was the Final Destination movies.
You think they're underrated?
Yeah, I think they were underrated. I think somebody else can generally pick that back up where it was left off and keep going great.
I just think like I can never take those movies like seriously. Like that, they always seem so goofy.
Way to die in a movie form, like you can't like take it seriously. But like, I guess they were decent movies.
Yeah, I feel that.
Also, my opinion, I'm about to catch some shit for this.
Oh boy.
My opinion is these DC movies that they're breaking out are underrated.
No.
That's my opinion.
I'm leaving the call. I'm
out of here, dude. Bro. Get that out of here, dude.
Listen. Everybody told me Aquaman was fire. I went and watched it.
I loved it. I loved Aquaman with a passion.
I will say
it was so not good.
Did you see Shazam?
Yeah, Shazam was
really good. I like Shazam. Shazam was actually really
funny,
good. But the only other one that I really enjoyed that a lot of people don't like, I love Man of Steel, and a lot of people don't like that movie. I love Man of Steel. I really do like Man of Steel.
I hated Man of Steel.
So,
Man of Steel was the worst one.
Whoa!
Get out of here, Shaq. In my opinion, for the DC movies, there's been 3 good ones since the Dark Knight trilogy: Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, and Shazam. Those were the 3 movies.
Yeah, I like Wonder Woman too.
The problem with Justice League is that like, oh, Superman's dead. What are we gonna do? Oh, Superman conveniently comes back to life because of this magical cube. Nice, love it. You know, the problem with it is like they tried too hard. Like did you guys know that they forced the executives to make the movies like 2 hours in length because they thought a longer movie wouldn't sit well with audiences? And then Avengers Endgame had, a 3-hour movie, and it's the second highest grossing film of all time. Probably going to be the first after the re-release this week, but still.
Let them know. Wait, it re-releases this week?
Yeah.
Is it like all theaters or select theaters?
It's supposed to be worldwide.
Okay, cool.
So I'm going to go see it again.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it again.
Yeah, so sorry. My underrated film franchises. So one of them's like a sub franchise underneath the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, it's the Ant-Man movies. Those movies are so good.
They're great.
Ant-Man 1 and 2 were so good. They had such good plots. They were really funny, and they do so much for like the overall storytelling of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
But they're such well contained movies that they're just so fun to watch. Like Ant-Man and the Wasp was really good because there wasn't like this big bad apocalyptic world-ending scenario. It was it was just like some person who was affected by Hank Pym and his problems in life and that everything. And then Serge, you already took one of my other answers with Hunger Games, which I think is a very underrated film franchise.
Yeah.
But then my last underrated like film franchise, somebody might be upset with me, but the original Spider-Man trilogy. I know it gets so much hate, but Spider-Man 1 and 2 were some
okay.
I don't care what you tell me.
I will
first
not
three movies are the best.
I will no, they're not. They're not the best.
They're
but
not
they're
the
good.
best.
Like honest. So well, sorry, Serge. I didn't mean to cut you.
No, you're
but
good.
in terms of Spider-Man movies, Homecoming's the best. And then it's like Into the Spider-Verse.
Whoa, Into Spider-Verse number one. No, Into Spider-Verse number one. Number one, Into the Spider-Verse.
And then it's the Tobey Maguire trilogy, and then it's the Andrew Garfield.
The Andrew Garfield ones don't exist. Who is Andrew Garfield? We don't talk about that.
No.
Like for me,
I'm glad you said 1 and 2, and we didn't include 3 because we all know about Spider-Man 3.
They screwed Venom up so much.
JPRO,
Yeah,
I'm looking at the list right now. From the Washington Post, the actual ratings one. Spider-Verse was 1. Spider-Man 2, the original Spider-Man 2 was 2.
I don't care
okay.
what critics think about
I'm
movies.
just saying.
Are you talking about like how much?
Shaq, saying somebody else liked this movie over my opinion, that doesn't help me. I'm not going to change my.
And Shaq, I think the general consensus of people will tell you that Homecoming is better than the entire Tobey Maguire series. And if you don't think that Far From Home is about to surpass all those movies too, then you're dead wrong because you're talking about sales, right? And like ticket sales, that's what you mean? Mm-hmm. Right? Shaq, is that what you're talking about?
No, that was like overall. That was supposed to encompass everything.
So no, I know, but are you saying like is that a list of like how much like the movie sold in theaters, right?
Let's see. I'm pretty sure this was based off of movie ratings.
I think it's just like critic score. That's what he's talking about. Also, Armstrong said it right. Tobey Maguire plays a great Peter Parker, but his Spider-Man is meh. Andrew Garfield plays a really bad Peter Parker, but a good Spider-Man, right? Like Andrew Garfield's like too cool for school type character, whereas Peter Parker's supposed to be this like kind of nerdy. Yeah, but he doesn't. And then Tom Holland
does it all, bro. He's so good.
He feels like a nerd. Like he feels like that guy at school that like would be like maybe have like he'd not popular per se, but he'd be like this really smart guy and just kind of.
I just wasn't a fan of him as Spider-Man. I wasn't a fan of him being casted as
Spider-Man.
It's
because
Shaq, you are wrong, and you are wrong.
Bro. There's plenty of people like Shaq, but I know for a fact it's only because we grew up on Tobey Maguire. Like that is our Spider-Man. It will always be our Spider-Man. But at some point, like especially if you read the comics, you have to realize Tobey Maguire was not a good representation of what Spider-Man is supposed to be. And Tom Holland encompasses that like perfectly. So like Tobey Maguire is always gonna have like a special place in my heart. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and bash the movies entirely, but like to say that he's a better Spider-Man than Tom Holland is just delusional. Like it just it's not how it goes. All right, next question comes from at Shazcore. Thoughts on no slide canceling since today's patch?
It's getting fixed anyway. It doesn't
it
matter
is?
what we think.
Okay.
Yeah, Tony Flame tweeted out that and so they're going to be doing it. So next question.
Next question at Bunt_Jack. Should teams have all their players attend the school they represent?
Yes.
Does merges create a disadvantage for teams who do all they have? Yes, 100%. That's why I was. I'm glad he asked this question because he's on Oregon, and that's the example I use. I feel like a team like Oregon who fought to get 5 players who might not have been the best, but they were teaching versus different top teams that had mergers. I definitely think creates a disadvantage. Morgan
they should and will be.
Yeah.
From the same school.
At Morgan_Lathram, Shaq's little honey, Shaq's little boo thing. Have everyone say 2 songs they're current. Oh, we already did that. Top 3. Oh, top 3 movies of all time. Oh boy.
Oh.
I can do that one.
Can you do that one?
I think I can do that one pretty easily. Actually,
you go first then, because I.
Okay, so in no particular order, Avengers Endgame. Can I include Infinity War Endgame as one as it's like a one story? Can I include the Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2? That's what I'm gonna include that as one movie because it's like one continual story.
Yeah.
Okay. I could agree with that.
Shaq, I'm not done. So that Remember the Titans. I love Remember the Titans.
Yeah, that's a classic.
That's my
classic
movie right there.
Mm.
Strong son.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, the attitude reflects leadership, Captain. And then
no, I was about to say, was that 2 or 3? I didn't know if you said 3.
That's 2. Number 3 is Interstellar.
Okay. I've never seen Interstellar, but I've heard it's really good.
Interstellar is like a really long movie, and
it's very long.
Interstellar is one of those movies you'll watch it the first time, and then you'll have to rewatch it because you won't have actually understood what happened.
So
I'm still convinced that the way that people perceive the end of the movie is wrong, and that there's like a true ending to the movie that people missed. But I won't spoil that for people that haven't seen the movie.
I agree with that. So John, matter of fact, the first time I ever saw Interstellar was the first time I went to California. It was on the plane, like one of those movies you could watch on the plane. Like it was probably the year after it came out.
It's such an addicting movie.
It was really good. Like I watched it. Like it took most of the plane ride too because it's pretty long. It's like what 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
It's like 2 hours and like 48 minutes.
Yeah.
Here, I'll find out for you.
So I think I can sort of no order.
2 hours 49.
No order for this, but my top 3. There's a movie called Hardball. It's pretty old, but for JPROSP, have you seen Hardball?
You told me to watch it because it's not what you name your dog. Your
G baby.
G baby and Tito.
Yo, if there's anybody like on the iTunes audience or in chat, if you know what Hardball is, you are a goat. R.I.P. G baby. If you haven't seen it, it has Keanu Reeves in it. It's basically about a kid's team playing baseball in the projects in Chicago. It's a really good movie, really touching. Definitely need to watch it if you haven't seen it. Infinity War Part 2, just because no movie has ever made me cry twice in a movie theater. I literally told myself the second time I wasn't gonna cry. I still cried. And also, I don't care what anybody says, the scene where the Avengers assemble for the last time is one of the most beautiful.
I cried so hard.
I get chills every single time I watch that. I literally have a DM to myself on Twitter of a video of that scene, and I watch it like at least once a week. One of the okay, literally one of the most beautiful scenes in like cinematic history. I don't care what anybody says. And then my third one, Kill Bill Volume 1. I'm a really big fan of Quentin Tarantino, and Kill Bill is one of my favorite movies of his. So I really enjoy that. What about you, Shaq?
I got a side question for Shaq when you're done.
So I'm gonna have to tie because there's one that I can't really break this tie. So I'm gonna have to tie one at 3. I'm gonna start at 3 and go up. At 3, the 2 movies like as far as like I would say would tie for me in 3 would be The Longest Yard and The Sandlot.
Surprisingly good picks.
Yeah, Sandlot's a classic.
Yeah. I'm gonna surprise y'all with my number 1 though. Number 2, if I encompass Infinity War and Endgame together, that's the one like John did. That's number 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 1 for me was Armageddon. You remember the old Bruce Willis movie?
Shaq.
Shaq, is that the one where there's like
where they're trying to stop the meat? Yeah, where they got to blow the asteroid. That's to me one of the greatest movies of all, like my favorite movie of all time, Armageddon.
I just lost full, bro. I just lost full. Shaq, What, dude? Jack, what in your right mind makes you think that movie is better than Infinity War Part 1 or 2?
Okay, y'all know me. I was not the biggest fan of Endgame. Like, I was not the biggest fan of Endgame. Call it how it was. I just think it was overhyped. Like, I think it didn't lead up to all the hype that it was given. That's my opinion of the movie. But Armageddon was it was amazing. Like, that to me is literally the greatest movie I've ever seen.
So Armageddon is better than Avengers Endgame.
Yes. Well then.
I refuse to acknowledge anything that Shaq just said. But a side question for Shaq. Shaq, first question: have you actually seen a Quentin Tarantino?
Have I seen a Quentin Tarantino?
Yes.
Name some of the movies.
Kill Bill.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Hang on, is that like I've seen both. I've seen the Django's. I've seen the Hateful Eight. Are those Quentin Tarantino movies?
Yes, those are.
Okay.
What's your favorite Quentin Tarantino movie?
The Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight. Yeah.
Oh, so you have seen one?
Yeah.
Have you? How many have you seen?
Really good though. I've seen.
Yeah, well, I bet you did. I bet you did like Django.
I've seen Django. I've seen Django Unchained. I've saw the Hateful Eight, and if you kept naming like movie names, I probably would have seen some more.
Hey,
I
Shaq,
just don't recognize like some of it.
What's your favorite scene in Django, bro?
You know, I need to go back and watch that movie again.
Oh my god, bro. Yo, I can't breathe, bro. Oh my god, dude.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, but that reminds me. Did y'all ever see the Blade movies, like the 5 Blade movies?
With Wesley Snipes?
Hell yeah.
I haven't seen a single one.
Bro, that's an underrated movie franchise.
Maybe. I don't hear people talk about it, but I mean, gotta be pretty good. At Pazsan B-Rate. Person you look up to in esports or COD and 2 fave songs from white rappers. I guess we can start with the first question. Oh, you got happy when you say white rappers. The man said, yeah, he sat up and everything. You good?
I hate my songs. But...
Oh my. Person you look up to in esports. I've always said Nate Shot, just like his seamless transition from like competitor to content creator to like business owner is like something I look up to. Just that amount of versatility and that knowledge that he has in esports is just like I would love to like just sit down and be able to pick his brain for a little bit. So yeah, Nate Shot for me, 100%. No contest.
For me in esports, it would probably be either Hex or Nade Shot or who am I thinking of? Or Jason Lake, Jason B. Lake, the CEO Complexity.
Oh,
one of those three is who I'd want to sit down and talk to, just because of like their stories. Like I didn't know. Okay, so this is like my Jason B. Lake, right? I didn't know a lot about him until I watched his Eavesdrop with Hex, right? And what he went through, like his entire story is just so crazy, like how he got to where he is now. Like he probably just has like this entire, vast wealth of knowledge about the esports industry that like from us on the outside would have zero idea that that's like actually a thing, or like that this, should be done this way or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Shaq?
So if I had to pick one, it would probably be Apex, one of the co-owners of FaZe.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like when I used to watch his videos and everything, he was probably like, he wasn't really out there. FaZe back in the day used to be kind of out there, you know, like Norden became like the Vape Lord Nord or whatever on YouTube for a little bit, and like all this other stuff, and like I don't know, like he just kind of clicked. Like he was always kind of the chill one, the laid back, like could just deal with stuff, you know.
Next.
So who
wait.
You look up to in COD.
Oh, and he said or COD.
Oh, I thought it was separate questions.
No, I said or COD. Well, but we did answer the 2 fave songs from white rappers.
Oh, we gotta answer that.
Oh my, this one right here, dude.
Surge's trap.
Oh god. Okay.
Do you want me to answer while you think?
No, I think I have my 2. I think,
okay.
And they're like, cause they were like really big in particular moments in my life. So number 1 is "Cleaning Out My Closet" by Eminem. Really slept on Eminem song, but when I was like growing up in Chicago, like my dad listened to the radio all the time, and that was one of the songs that would come on. So like fun fact, that was the first rap song. Like as I was literally sitting in my chair, and that was the first song that I like could recite the chorus to.
What song did you say?
"Cleaning Out My Closet" by Eminem.
Oh,
I could like recite. I could recite the chorus to that song when I was like little Serge in the car seat. Like I was sitting in the back seat rapping that song. And then number 2. So when I was actually on my high school's baseball team when I went to Cordova High School in Tennessee, and we had like an intercom system that we could take the aux and plug in and listen to stuff. And I was also on the marching band, and so for a while, like we were all huge on MGK for some reason. Like my freshman sophomore year of high school, and he came out with a song called "What I Do" that has Bun B on it, and it to this day, whenever I go to the gym, it's one of my favorite hype songs like of all time. Like "What I Do" by MGK goes hard. And, yeah, those are my 2.
For me, my 2 favorite songs by white rappers. So I got to go with Eminem because he's the best white rapper of all time. Not a debate. It's probably "When the Music Stops." Even though it's featuring D12, I still think "When the Music Stops" is one of my favorite Eminem songs of all time. That, and then "Lose Yourself." Those two. Yeah, it has to be those 2. "Lose Yourself." Like when I first started listening to it, was for me, I didn't start listening to rap music until middle school, like 6th, 7th grade, right? Yeah. And "Lose Yourself" was like that song I'd play, before every football game, before every basketball game, before like every track meet, before like any like sort of like competitive thing. I'd throw that song on because it just made you feel some type of way, and that was it.
What about you, Shaq?
So I might be catching some crap. I know I'm catching crap about one of these. One of them that I actually like is "Rockstar" with Post Malone.
It's not a bad song.
I thought he was gonna say "Rockstar" Nickelback.
No.
Bro, I was about to literally just cut the podcast short if he said Nickelback. I'm not even joking.
No, "Rockstar" with Post Malone. I don't know. I like that song.
I think 21 Savage makes that song, but that's a topic for another day. Because I think without 21 Savage, I don't like that song.
And then 2, I'm about to catch some hate for this.
Good God.
Probably my favorite
Rap God.
Rap God.
Dude.
Rap God.
Sit down, Serge. We're fine. We can live through that one.
No, it's not. Stop. Stop liking that song. Stop.
What I gotta do to get it through.
Stop rapping it. Stop.
And if I give it, never demonstrate. Yeah.
Stop,
bro. It's a good
song.
No,
it's not. No. The song is garbage.
It's not terrible.
The song is garbage. I'm so sick of Eminem fans, Logic fans, NF fans thinking, "Oh my God, he's rapping fast. Oh my God, this is the best rapper ever." No, the song is garbage. It's trash. I don't want to hear it anymore. That song is chalk. Eminem should have kept that and thrown it straight in the garbage can. The song is not good. It's not.
So I think it's listenable. I think it's tolerable, but I wouldn't throw it in like a top category. Like
that's just my favorite Eminem song. Like that's my favorite Eminem song.
Rule. Shaq, out of all the Eminem songs, you Rap God.
Honestly, the fact that you said that disrespects so many other good songs in his discography that it actually hurts me. Because all of the Eminem show is better than that song. Every single Recovery, probably every song on there was better than that song. Like half of the songs on Kamikaze were probably better than that song. Heck, even Revival was probably better than that song. I'm just kidding, Serge. I'm just playing. I don't actually mean that, but
anyways, all right. Wait. So So do y'all think Eminem's the best white rapper of all time?
Yes, it's either him or Mac Miller. And
I was about to say I was about to say Mac Miller. I think is surpassed Eminem. I don't like Mac Miller's discography.
It's one of those two. Those only.
I think Eminem is the best.
Nah, I think Mac Miller's discography is way more versatile, and I think it's way like consistently better. Eminem, I think if Eminem would have cut his career short after like around like Marshall Mathers LP like 2, then I think maybe
that album slapped.
Right. I think if you cut it off right there, like yeah, he's 100%. But like the stuff he's put out recently, like no, like I think Mac Miller.
Kamikaze. I'll ask this question actually, but Kamikaze is my most underrated album of like any rapper's career. Like it's so good. Like I love Kamikaze. I do. I like it a lot.
I think people gassed it because what he put out has been so mediocre that when he finally put out something halfway decent, we were like, oh my god, like this is good.
He's
like,
back.
Yeah, like if you really sit and listen to it, like there's some good songs, there's some fire songs. Don't get me wrong, but like for the most part, it's just like another Eminem album. Like it's just okay. But to me, in my opinion, I think Mac Miller has definitely surpassed Eminem. R.I.P. Mac Miller.
Post Malone is great though.
This for the next one.
At Dylan Crozier _ says thoughts on having schools with 2 teams for season 2. I think if you have one team in Challenger, one team in Premier, I like it. If not, no.
Same. I think having 2 teams in the same league potentially creates a conflict of interest. Say, for example, I know these 2 teams wouldn't do it. This is why I'm picking it. Say, for example, RIT Orange and RIT Black had to play each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if RIT Black was the better team than RIT Orange, right? But say, for example, if RIT Orange wins, it prevents another team from getting in the playoffs, and RIT Black's position is fine.
Mm-hmm.
RIT Black could potentially throw the match, get 2 schools potentially in the playoffs, and cut out another team. It just creates a conflict of interest that I don't think is necessarily good for the league. If we had 2 different divisions, like we had like the Premier and the Challenger, then it would be fine because they'd be playing against different teams in this way. Plus, they could scrim each other for practice if they needed to at that point. So
yeah. At Jermal C. Money was not an issue. Would you invest in the esports? If so, what esport outside of COD would you invest in?
I would invest all my money into the CCL.
Okay, he said outside of COD. But I think for me it would be CS:GO. I think CS:GO is a safe investment just because it's been around like for this long. So obviously like it has longevity.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the safe bet. I would go with CS:GO.
For me, I would pick the Smash community. Smash community has like almost no support from Nintendo, or at least not a lot. But somehow they've managed to survive all this time, and the fact that they've been able to maintain a scene, with little to no backing from the game's publisher and developer, that's impressive. And I realistically think if Smash if it got like good backing from Nintendo and it really had good support, that'd be the biggest esport on the planet, and it wouldn't even be close. Because everybody growing up, they play Super Mario Bros. They play Mario Kart. They know all these characters from Nintendo games like Zelda. And if somehow Smash like made it onto their TV screens, like, wait, I know that character. That's Mario. That's Luigi. That's Pac-Man. That's Link. That's Zelda. It's whoever it might be, whatever. But that would draw them in because they already have probably some sort of nostalgic connection to them because of what they did as a kid and what they played.
Hey, can I ask y'all a question based on that?
What?
Sure.
What's your favorite Nintendo character out of all the games?
Mario. I gotta go with the default. I like Mario a lot.
Nah, he's not a Nintendo character. Mate, I'm trying to think of like Smash. I would say Link. If I'm thinking about like Smash characters, no, Captain Falcon, 100%, 110%, bro. Captain Falcon or Wolf, not Fox or Falco, but Wolf. Wolf is really dope too.
I don't know. I'd have to say Wario. I was a Wario fan.
Yeah, you built like him.
I know. But branching off of that, also, y'all remember Y'all remember Pixel, the movie with Adam Sandler about Pac-Man?
Yeah.
I don't remember those.
Yeah. I think that movie was underrated too. If we just talk about individual movies.
You are literally on a delay, bro. Like,
talked about that a while ago.
It didn't come to mind until we started talking about Nintendo characters.
We're going like a little over 2 hours, so I think let's
one more good one.
Let's take one from the chat, bro. Why not? Pat, give us one good question to answer before we sign off. Anybody.
Nope. It's looking slow, Chief.
Slow.
They're all talking. Then we call for a
question, and nobody is
build your team of 5 from the CCL.
Woo! This is about to be controversial. Who going first?
I'll go first. Man AR, Advisor TV, not a doubt in my mind.
Okay.
For the duo, I'm gonna take the Lackey twins.
Sure.
They're disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm probably gonna take Bobe, take Beautiful, and then probably Cush Point. That's my team. Cush Point, Bobe, Slacky, and Poner, and Advisor. That's my 5. Okay. And in this game anyway, I think that team.
Are we doing Black Ops 4?
Yeah, well, I've only seen some of these players play in Black Ops 4, so I really can't tell how they play in other. But my sixth man of the year, Chapo. That's my man. That's him right there, Chapo. Yep.
Okay, well, if we're doing Black Ops 4, then
can't include yourself, by the way.
I wasn't gonna include myself. I'm trash at this game, bro. Stevie, from if I'm taking main ARs, I love you, R-Strong. I love you, Advisor, but Stevie is nasty on main ICR, bro. Like that, he just knows how to play the game. Like coming from playing against him, like in the grand final, Stevie is absolutely filthy with ICR. So I would definitely take him as my main ICR. If I had to pick a SOG, honestly, bro, I think I'm going with Lycan from U of T. Lycan from UT is absolutely filthy. That's just really nasty. Let's see. I'm not gonna. That's a cop out if I pick both the Lackey brothers. So I'm gonna be controversial, real quick. I'm gonna pick one, and if I had to pick one Lackey brother,
you're gonna take Slacky, aren't you?
I'm taking Slacky. Only because I feel like Slacky will risk his life a little bit more. Slacky's still base. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like Slacky, if he needs to, he'll do what it needs to be done to win. But not only that, but just like. I feel like Slacky has a little bit more composure. Whenever Poner's not having the best game, Poner doesn't really talk. Like he goes pretty silent. And that was like one of the issues I had. The only issue I really had with him like all season. But I also think Slacky has a little bit more like breakout games. Poner consistently plays like not decent, really good. But Slacky sometimes he has games where it's just like you can't kill him. Like you're not touching him at all. So that's 3, right? So now I gotta pick Maddox's. Oof. Maddox players. Give me Tooney, actually.
Oh,
yeah, give me Tooney. I got faith in my boy Toonster. Tooney's another one where like Tooney can get into a slump where he's not playing too well, but or he can have those games where, just like I said with Slacky, you cannot touch Tooney on the map like at all.
He'll be human Jesus on the map instead of Tooney.
I was literally about to say that. That series we had against Parallax, Tooney's Maddox was shooting the straightest.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's ridiculous. And then my last one I'm gonna pick from an IGL standpoint, who I think could be a leader. Give me Hunnely, bro. 110%. Hunnely is somebody that can take any team and elevate them. I don't care what team he's on. I'm not talking about from a gameplay standpoint, but like just from like the mindset he has and the knowledge he has of the game. Hunnely's the first person I've ever played in COD where like he's made a play on me where I've been like, wow, like he just outsmarted me, like period. And you already know what play I'm talking about, JPRO, like where he baited me into whatever that room was on World War II. Like that's the first time in COD where I've ever just been like, I just got like completely outsmarted, 100%, 1000 IQ play. And like teaming with him intense, he always has good communication, always has good composure. He's consistent when it comes to gameplay. So I think like as an IGO, I would 100% put him on my team. So yeah, Slacky, Tooney, Hunnely, Stevie, and Lycan, probably that's my team.
Nah, I think the Huntley pick's actually really good. Huntley, his COD IQ along with his gun skill, makes him a perfect player, or almost a perfect player, in the CCL.
So I'm gonna change stuff up a little bit. Take somebody that gets a lot of hate But
Polly Deuces and Ravina gonna take Black Hawk.
I'm gonna start off with my main AR. You know, he catches a lot of hate, but he actually knows like how to run S&Ds, and I'm gonna say that's gonna be Zolty. Like I would pick up Zolty as a main AR.
Okay,
that's a good pick.
Okay.
Wait.
You said as a main AR?
Yeah, he's a main AR. He was an ICR player. He played an ICR at some point. I've seen him do it. Every time I played against him, he's had an ICR in his fucking hand.
Yeah.
Huh?
Zolty.
Every time I played against him,
Zolt is not a main AR.
He's not a main AR, bro.
I'm thinking about. Every time I saw him, he had an ICR.
He's a flex.
Okay. Well, every time I saw him, he had an ICR.
This dude Shack is off the pack, bro.
Okay, undoubtedly, I'm off the pack.
Nosy was their main ICR. Zolty ran flex.
He switched to match. Anyway, I would pick Zolty. I would pick definitely. You got to get Goat Tunes from Humber.
Yeah, GoTo is one that I feel like he didn't get enough credit because GoTo was one where he would always 100% have like really like nasty games, but I feel like Kush Point and Stevie and Akama were all so flashy with their plays, and GoTo was just like the fundamental player that did what he needed to do, and he didn't get as much. Yeah.
Goat Tunes, definitely Goat Tunes from Humber.
Yeah.
Dang, you stole my pick on Huntley.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good pick.
You stole my pick on Huntley. But if I'm going for a sock duo, I'm fixing to change this up a little bit too. Y'all all said one in Slacky. But if I'm going for that second sock, I would be getting Tweak. Like
that's a wild card pick. I like it.
Yeah, Tweak from Toronto.
Yeah. That's 3, right?
That was 5. That was all 5.
That's his roster.
Wait, he said both the Likey? You said both the Likey?
No, I didn't.
Wait, who'd you say? You said Zolty?
I said Zolty, Goat Tunes, Huntley, Tweet, and Slacky.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were actually using the Huntley pick.
Yeah.
All right, those are some good teams. I think my team smokes y'all's team, but that's just me, I guess.
Wait, Kush Point, are you gonna stand for that?
Yeah, my team definitely smokes y'all's team, bro. 110%.
I mean, yeah, that's what you said about Humber in the finals.
And on that note, this has been the Hell 9 Hangout. We appreciate y'all chilling. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. For those listening on Apple Podcasts, we appreciate you too. Thank you. Make sure to leave the podcast a rating, and make sure to share it with your friends. Hopefully, we're gonna be on Spotify pretty soon. Look out for this to be on YouTube as well if you want to see the video format of it. The Twitch VOD will be up until the YouTube video goes live, hopefully sometime tomorrow or the next day. So we will be back next week. If you guys have any topic suggestions, make sure to DM me on Twitter. There'll be another question thread next week, so be on the lookout for that if you want your question answered. We try to answer all the questions that we are providing. And yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. JPRO, Shack, y'all got anything you want to say before we sign off? Where can they find you on social media?
I'm _Shack on Twitter, on Instagram, Twitter and Instagram. I'm _Shack.
Follow the CCL on Twitter at College Cobb and Twitch.
Yeah, and Twitch.
All right. Well, shut up, idiot. All right, guys, we're out. Thanks for chilling. This has been the Hell 9 Hangout. Your boys Shaq, JPRO, and Serge. We're signing off. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.